Okay.
Okay, doing the retweets. There I am, yes. I was a little bit late. And why did the title not change? It's changed on Twitch. Okay, it's just the preview. It's the preview on Twitter that's wrong. Because I know I switched that. I'm indignant. All right, well. Hello, everybody. Okay, looks like the quality came back. Uh-oh. Are we losing frames or anything like that? Is the quality bitrate settings out of the recommended for Twitch set at less than 6K? It is set less than, it's set at 5500K. Why does it go up and down so much like that? All right, well, Restream is pitching a fit, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Got my 4-star stamper badge. Can I have extra credit for that? You know, oh my god. Mr. Teacher, I did a Sudoku. Does that mean that I can get credit for math class? Does that improve my math grade? It has to do with numbers. It's very important. Boy, am I hungry. No bad notes left. That's what Debbie's saying. Everybody about whom a note was written, though, is under NDA, so no comment. But how's it going, Yassine? And Animals, and Neo, and Flopdoodle, and Sir Baby B, and Wee Weirdo, and Ram Zabu, and Weej, and RTX457, and Hydro Airplane, and Dasrissa, and Benji, and Midex. I think that's Charex. And Kermit with gun, but reborn as Legman KFP soldier. Got it. And Hitcha and Small Fry. And Willow I Am. Squidoku. And Squid Stars. Hello. And Chromatic Matter, who's saying hi to Devi. And Three Pronged Fork. And it's Phantomu. Whoa. I have not said hi to Phantomu yet. That's a
I
lie.
exist here. I've
Phantomu
infiltrated your stream.
Yes. Phantomu is in our heads saying words. And hello, Zone Inc. And Marcuz. And Wes Senpai. And Bad Gamer. Okay. So, to the gamers that are in the call, I'm going to make a room here. This room's password is going to be protected by an army of cats, as per usual. And I am going to DM you guys the password that we'll be using here, so that the rabble, the lowers are not able to come in.
Oh, I don't think that I'm on your friends list, so I wouldn't be able to join it.
Then we'll have to fix that. I will also send you my friend code. And so what that means is that you won't want to join the lobby just yet because it's going to go down as I accept this friend request. And then, Debbie, I will send you the code as well.
What if I told the code on stream?
Then I'd have to pick a new code, and it would waste a little bit of time.
Can I say the code once everyone's in?
No, because if somebody DCs, we want to be able to use the same code and not have to type things again.
Okay.
Okay. So, I gotta say, Noodles and Company is on thin ice. Because, I feel like there's less and less food that is being put in these bowls every time. This bowl is, like, less than half full at the moment. Like, this right here is their large. And it's like, look at how far down it goes before you hit the food. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I feel like there's some volumetric trickery afoot. Noodles and Company is wonderful in terms of their food. It's felt like over time, the prices have risen and the amount of food has dropped. They're not at a bad point yet, but it's getting a little scary. Octomarie, did you send a friend request? Did I miss one?
Yeah, I sent it.
That said, I'm never not actually going to go and get Noodles and Company, so I don't know. Maybe this is fruitless. It's kind of like our relationship to Nintendo. Like, no matter how little they give us, we'll keep coming back.
I'd hope that the Noodles and Company wouldn't have fruit in it.
Wouldn't have fruit in it?
Yeah, you said it was a fruitless endeavor. It would make sense that the Noodles and Company wouldn't have fruit in it.
It'd be nice to have chocolate in it.
They do have chocolate chunk cookies that are pretty good.
Have you had chocolate pizza before?
Is that like a fruit pizza where it's just like not really a pizza, it's just kind of like this big cookie with fruit on it?
It might be. I've not tried it.
Or is it just something you've made up?
No, I saw it on a
It's
pizza
a
menu
thing.
before.
It's a thing. It's just I also haven't had it myself, but it exists.
Yeah. On a pizza menu I saw it.
Dark chocolate might go with some pizza ingredients. I don't know.
Are we doing tri-stringer
Hello,
times? Is
tri-stringer-
that what I'm getting
tri-stringer.
from this?
Yes, tri-stringer time. It's tri-stringer time.
Tri-stringer is the best weapon, I think.
It is. It definitely is.
Alright. I'm gonna go frontline tri-stringer.
Yes.
That's quite the tri-stringer. Hang on.
It's looking a bit not try.
Nah, I changed. You're good.
The try?
I could be tri-slosher, but I'm not that great at inkjet. I can actually play this weapon better as it is, rather than play a different variation of a try.
There is an
But we
imposter
can do a
among
couple
us.
of this, and then we should, I don't know if we want to swap and stuff.
All I'm saying, I had better have so much support for every fight that I take.
Don't worry, I'll frontline. Even though I haven't really, mastered the frontlining of tri-stringer yet, I'm getting there. Because,
Don't
funny
worry,
enough,
I'll
I've
spare
played
the
this
randoms
weapon.
for today.
I have played this weapon more in Rainmaker than anything, which is funny. So, I'm getting used to the fact of being up in a corner and keeping people out.
It's just been a really long time since I've played anything other than this.
Barbecue sauce instead of pizza sauce makes a lot of sense, because that's very sweet.
Oh my god.
Barbecue sauce on
Desperate
pizza?
has a point. The silly comp
barbecue
name for
sauce on
this is
pizza
the
is a-
tryhards.
Barbecue sauce on pizza is actually a relatively common thing.
I will go left.
If you're gonna do the Hawaiian pizza with the pineapple on it, like, the barbecue sauce is the way to go, because the sweetness actually works.
Oh, spot bomb.
We're one down, so just play safe, pay for specials. Try and wall them out. Got one, I'm down. Two on left, I think.
Yep, one's on me. I got one. Oh, there's a bow. What is this thing? A
I'm on the
wiper.
right.
thingy.
Stamper.
That thing.
Got him. There's a couple in front of my wall here. Got one. Another one on me. Popping whale. Dropped right. Nice. Thank you.
Oh, I hit somebody up on top. Wiper? That's a stamper. Whoops.
Alright, I got one.
I'm gonna wail!
Stamper below and on the box.
There we go.
We're
thank
in,
you.
but we don't have clams.
I have 3. I'll look for more. 6 now. I have 5.
Oh, splat bomb got
Oh,
me.
there's one behind me. Ooh, arrow spray's chasing me. Good thing I can swim fast.
Got one. Stamper above me. He might come right. Right is clear. Who's behind me?
Got
Okay.
him. I have 7, by the way.
I'm down 2 above. Stamper dropped. Nice.
There's another one.
Penetrated.
Oh, hello. I'm down.
I can't see them. Backing up. Ah, I got rushed. There. They're on our box. They jumped nice.
Got him.
Still below.
Stamper has zip.
Remember to use your miss. We can
Coming
literally block them out on the ramp.
Alright,
Came over
Stamper
left.
on the left side of her.
Yeah, I pushed him off.
Nice.
2 below.
Arrow spray box.
They zipped.
Bottom. Oh, there's 2 here.
Got one. Got
Whoopsies.
2. Oh, one on my right. One on my right. They're behind the box. They're sharking.
mid-box,
Back
yep.
out. Splash. Still pushing. Still pushing.
Oh, I got myself trapped in a corner. That's fine. I'm misting.
Alright, I got him.
Nice wall.
Got
Ooh,
someone.
whoever got that, that was nice.
One dropped. Got him.
Who needs clams? Here.
Got it. Ooh, died to the booyah.
Flame holder dropped. Got him. They're weak.
Alright, I'm jumping
Hit him
in.
once. Got him.
We
Stamper
need
on
more
me.
clams.
Thank you. One drop behind. Got him. Basket. Got him.
Ending up on the left side to try and force him to drop down the right side.
Got one on right. Clams.
No!
We can still keep their basket.
Yeah. I'm going to get more clams. I'm swimming around. Oh, there's one by ours.
Alright, I'm popping the Zuka. I got one.
We're back in.
Okay, there's a splash by me, but I'm swimming in with the clam.
Alright, I'm down.
I got too close. Oh, I got him though.
Missed.
That's fine.
There was one in my way.
It's less fine. I thought that was one of
There's
us.
still, I think there was still somebody by our base, unless if they swam away. They might be lurking in a corner. Oh no, they're in mid. That was the crab.
Alright, they are popping a crab, so just wait for that to go away. We'll be fine.
Keep the ramps misted.
Ooh, okay.
One got me on
They're
right.
all, there's like, all 3 of them I think are coming up on that right.
Oh, they bubbled.
Right.
I have them in mist.
Watch out for zip.
Ben, don't break. Okay, got 2.
One under basket.
Got him.
Nice. Should be clear. Good
Okay,
stuff.
I also did not see the last second switch to splatter shot, so I noticed that about halfway through the game. I'm like, oh, I thought we had 3 bows. Anyway, hit stop and I'll actually play a secondary midline. Or I'll
We've
play
been
a midline.
betrayed.
Phantom
Did I
will just
speak
launch
during
quad
these
stringer.
games?
Phantom will not stop until it happens.
Well, I
if
thought
we
we had
do
the
quad,
3, but you know.
if we do quad stringer, I'm gonna stop asking for it on Silicom Sunday.
Alright, I'll go stringer.
Yo, I got my 3-star freshness from that game.
Awesome. All right, help us, cats. Ah, no. I'm holding the controller upside down, so this is difficult. There we go. Lobby's up.
That's an interesting cat. It's quite square.
Stringer, it's fine.
What are your X rank powers at the moment? I hit up into the 2300s on clams, and then everything else I don't think is representative right now. I just haven't played it that much to where I think it's actually where it should be settled, so. Probably like 22s, 23s at the moment. In theory, peaks should be higher on X power right now because there's a little bit of inflation going on with the minimum 10-point difference that happens if you win a series. But winning a series is kind of hard, and it almost seems like there's a required like minimum point loss too.
Oh.
So I've been getting a lot of like 10.0 losses. So maybe that's not even a factor. Maybe it's not actually inflated and we were just wrong about all that. Wailing on the very top. Go, go, go.
Got two.
Very clean. Nice.
There's someone over at left side over here. Got him.
Nice.
Rotating back for more clams. We'll be back in with 7. Nice. Alright, just you,
Oh,
Debbie.
they went down below. That was a good play on the roller.
Should have called it. I thought you saw.
I did see it. I just misplayed it. I thought they were going to keep coming to me towards ramp. They ended up ledge dropping and flicking at the same time, and I misread.
One on left.
I'll be with you in 2 seconds, Jem.
I hit him once.
I just
Got
don't have
him.
any paint in front of me. Okay, there's
Guy
two
with the
that back
clan
up.
was low. I hit him with all 3 explosions.
Okay, there's one on the right here. Careful, bomb.
Wailing up their ramp.
There's a crab.
Got one. Alright, I'm gonna whale them up in their spawn, up in there over where they are.
Up in there that way, yes.
Thank you for the wall.
Alright, I hit one of them with an arrow.
In the corner.
Okay, got the guy in the corner. Alright, I'm just gonna throw Toxic Mist out. Hope that
I'm
does
gonna die.
something. Ooh,
Yep.
roller behind.
Oh, wipeout. Sad.
Well, you know, promise.
Yo.
You gotta promise people 14 and 2K. So.
Jem, watch out for the crab.
Yep.
You already know I'm gonna deliver though.
Man. I should have done that earlier. One drop left.
Yeah. A missile.
Oh. Something hit
I
me.
got him. He's a little bit low. Oh gosh.
It's a roller to my right.
I'm gonna corner this one on left.
I got the roller.
Left is forced to mid. They jumped. Okay, good job.
Alright, I'm gonna just
Got the
try and
tri-strike.
get a diversion on going here with this. Alright.
Roller in the corner. Around the side. Nice, we got him. One more. Watch out for bombs.
Alright, someone's coming around from behind.
Flank behind.
Alright, I'm just gonna hold him back there. Okay, they're popping crab.
A lot of clams.
I'm gonna die. Yep.
Alright,
T-Tech
jumping
got me with a
out.
bomb.
Whew, that was a scary crab.
Alright, we're 2 down. Be careful.
There's a minute left.
Alright, someone's pushing up into our base here.
Oh yeah, we're here.
Just holding them back.
I'm here with you.
Got him.
We got him.
Nice.
Flings it
Roller.
down. Another one in mid.
Oh.
2 on me.
Yeah, I'm weak. I can't really take that fight right now with 2.
Yeah, I had missiles on
Right,
me.
right.
Jumping on the left.
Jump is weak. Jump is
Oh, I don't have
super
a charge.
weak. Got
Good,
him.
good. I'm with you.
One on me.
Right.
On right. Thanks for the whale.
Nice. Another one upper right.
Whaling.
I'm gonna
Got
kill a
him.
whale up there and there.
Nice.
2 more. We just need clams.
I got it.
There you go.
Oh, someone DC'd.
Yeah, I'm kind of up here. Oh, we didn't have another. I had one, but not enough.
Yeah, I was too far away. I should have specified I was throwing them up to you.
Bullying.
This power clam will just end the game.
I may have been annoying at the end there when I was like, you know what? You guys have basket. I'm gonna go to spawn. There, spawn.
We love bullying.
Because I have enough DPS to break the armor while splatting them while they're trying to drop down from places. So I was like, I could do this. Yep. That's how that went.
I am finished with my noodles and company.
Nice.
Was it tasty?
It was yummy, yes.
Was that chocolate in it?
There was not. It probably would have been a
Oh.
little weird if there was chocolate in it.
I'm
You could
sorry,
try.
other team, for getting a lot of pay.
Man, I hope we get ink blot. Hammerhead is not fun.
Clown
I mean,
blitz.
in all honesty, with the comp that we have, it works better for Hammerhead.
I don't think this comp really works on anything. Double tri-stringer?
It's not supposed to, but if we want to put it on maps it would work on, it would work better on Hammerhead over Inkblot, just because we have more, like, there isn't a lot of obstacles in the way, and 2 tri-stringers zone out big time on the 2 places where you get basket with the mist and just your shots. And then with me and Jim with the mid-range, it's just more space for us, so the short range struggles. For here, now they've got a couple rat weapons that could cause problems.
Oh no.
There's already one on the wall.
Ooh,
Behind us.
you got my...
Got him.
Oh, I got
Okay.
one, but the other one's weak on the left. They're in mid. Tetra's going right. Oh no, they're playing behind Pillow going left.
Alright.
Well, I didn't mean to make that.
There's someone up on the platform. Okay, he's down.
I missed. Tetras are gonna come dodge into me. Yep,
Oh, I'm down.
I'm jumping out.
Alright, the sploosh likes to be in our base, so he's just playing around that wall right now.
The best
Not
thing
anymore.
to do is miss the right side, or right in front of the wall. It'll have him trapped.
Oh my
And I
god,
can try
there's
to
so
jump
many
on 'em.
sprinklers. Why are there so many sprinklers? They're weak in our basket. Still one, going up attic.
Ah, full stamper. Oh,
Hammering at spawn. Got him.
Dynamo has the ball. There's another on the right. Doolies are probably going to be over here shortly, too.
Ramp, ramp, ramp.
Ah,
Got him, I'm
Down.
down. Two coming ramp. I'm down.
they're under ramp.
I didn't have any charge.
Still steps.
Alright, I'm just killing whaling to get them out.
That one should be down. I got two.
Alright, they're
I'm
up on
I'm gonna
top.
jump
They're-
down. It's okay. There we go. Close.
Good
Nice.
shred. Okay, we need to get some paint into mid here.
I'm pinning the
just let
right.
them- Can't just let them keep walking up like that. They got me from left box, left stacks.
What was it?
Sploosh. Nice.
Got two.
Killer whale, try and, you know, make an opening to push in.
Watch right side, it looks really painted.
Yeah, there is one here.
There is
Alright,
one.
they're all in their base right now.
Okay. Except that
Nice,
one.
they're down.
There we go.
Alright, sploosh on me. Down. They're up on our block, come from behind.
Oh!
Got him.
Thank you!
Left stacks, two left stacks.
Dynamo?
I'm down to Dynamo on wall.
Sploosh got me. I missed the last shot.
Right up the ramp. Or that is airs.
Nice, nice. There's someone on the right side our plot. What the?
Dynamo weak, nice. One
Oh,
left stacks. They like sitting on top of stacks and sharking from there.
Yep. Probably on the wall.
Pushing left with you, Debbie.
Yeah. Behind you?
Behind you.
Yeah, yeah,
On the
yeah.
box. Got him.
You. Oh, nice
One underneath
mark.
me.
I'm getting wrecked here. Oh shoot. Oh, behind. That one.
We need a power clam in 5.
Do we have a pity?
We've got
Yes,
pity. We got
okay.
pity.
Alright, ooh, okay.
I got one. Oh, the dynamo and attic.
Ah,
Yeah.
died to a bomber
Our
on the
team,
corner.
we didn't have the other two
Or
stringers with
dynamo.
us.
Save that clam. If we don't save that clam,
I
overtime
can't.
ends.
Yeah, no, it was too late.
Yeah, there was no getting in there.
Oh well. We tried.
Did I can't remember names right now, but do we still want to? Is the double stringer still happening, or did the other want to change weapon?
I'd like to go quad stringer.
Yeah, it'd be pretty
I'm
silly.
sorry, but that doesn't answer my question.
I think that does. Quad
It
stringer
does,
means
yeah.
that we're all going stringer. That means that we're going. That we both
Alright, I'll
go.
go stringer.
Yeah. Yippee! I'm not gonna pester you about quad stringer anymore after this.
I doubt that, but it's okay.
I mean, if you don't mind, then
You just gotta make sure that you're painting. We just gotta make sure that we're painting mid a bit more, cause even in neutral, they kind of just had an advantage the entire game.
And missed the ramps or the stacks. Believe me when I say it's gonna help.
I
a
would
lot.
rather just shoot a shot there. Mist is pretty much ineffective. I'm not gonna lie.
That is a lie. I can tell you that right now, especially from comp play. Mist actually
yeah.
slows them down, so then you can actually get 2 shots off to be able to poke them enough to get the splat, and it doesn't have to be full charge.
does mist stack like 2 mists?
I
Do
don't
they
know if
stack?
it stacks, but if you try
It does
to
not
throw them,
stack,
the way you want to do it is throw them so it like Venn diagrams with each other, so it's a big puddle of mist, and they really can't move.
So
I don't know, I'm
I've
just
been-
not big on mist in general. I don't think it's something I like.
There's something I've been thinking about.
Even
Throwing
if it doesn't,
toxic mist. Throwing toxic mist feels like farting.
is like what?
Feels like farting.
It's like fart.
Oh. But even if you don't find mist viable, believe me when I say it helps your teammates. Think of the team play as well.
But I'm thinking my
it's
teammates. I'll just shoot a shot
situational.
over there.
I think it's
I think
situational
mist
because
is
it.
more. Like, mist is more situational. Like, your main weapon does everything mist does, and puts, like, hitboxes out there. I think it's just better than mist in general.
Mist doesn't.
The-
Oh.
Because you paint their feet, and then boom, they can't move. And then it also puts a
Well,
hitbox out there.
The
mist,
ink resistance
does,
ability is also
so
kind of that.
mist does lock them down better than the shots do, but you also have to consider that it takes half your ink tank to throw, so it's a little bit more of a commitment. Like, it can definitely be the right call. I think that there's some situations where you'd rather do one over the other, and it's not like clear-cut just do one of these, but I don't think it's like an all-purpose sort of
Alright, solution to ink,
use
I
this
think.
every situation sort of deal.
Oh, there's 3 on the left.
Ooh, okay, that is the shot.
Yeah.
Alright, they're gonna jump in. Nice.
Got the jump. Got one.
Alright, there's one over on ramp, retreating back now, though.
One on the box.
Find everyone.
Oh, that hit me from under a wall. Interesting.
I apologize for my actions. This guy is... He's befriending us.
I
In
wouldn't call
baskets.
it befriending us.
Alright.
Don't push too far in, Debbie. We got someone in our base still.
I know. They body blocked for each other.
Okay, that just squid bagging.
Yeah, it wasn't friendship. Yeah.
No! I feel really betrayed.
Alright, I'm down. I got the guy right before. Oh no, he got the claimant. Okay, cool.
At least I made a friend.
Did you though?
I mean, I'm gonna friend them afterwards, so...
Befriending equals shooting in the back. Understood.
I guess. He gave me 3 clams, though. Or she, or they.
Let's do one more, and then we'll get started with the VOD reviews.
No, I DC'd.
Well, it's okay, because we were hitting stop anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Room is up.
Oh, I got a hollow tri-stringer. Look at that.
What if we had 53 gal?
It'd probably be a little bit heavier.
1 singular gram heavier.
After only carrying splatter shots around for so long, I don't know if my Inkling's little atrophied arms could handle it.
Why they give us a 96 gal but not a 69 gal?
Yeah, why?
I wonder.
Nintendo doesn't know.
They probably
I
know.
think they're just too scared, honestly. I would main the 69 gal. Solo, I would one trick it, actually.
Quad stringer
Actually,
though.
it's 0.69.
Anyone want to say hey, Alexa?
Hey Alexa.
Hey Alexa, let us win the game. Worth a shot.
Right, I believe that someone is pushing over on the right side here. Got him.
Stuff.
Ooh, no! My finger fell off the control stick.
Ooh, 2 on the left.
Wailing to help you. They're... Oh, okay.
They're backing
They're-
up into their
they're on
base,
wall.
I think.
Watch
One's
right
on the
stack.
right.
Got the Tri-Striker. That's 2
Got
down.
one? Ah, damn it. Okay.
Dynamo's gonna get me. I'm down. Nice. Get map control and clams. We don't have either of those yet.
I have 6.
This junior is
One
doing
on right
junior
stack.
thing. Ooh, alright, they got me with
Oh,
Yeah.
there's one behind me. That's the junior on the left. That's double bombing me. Hey, is one on our plat? Yes.
Yes. They've got a wall up.
I don't know how I didn't get that. 1 shot. Thank you. They're going up the ramp.
Yep.
2. 1 more on wall. 1 more on right wall. Right bats.
I'm gonna come in from the sponge side of it.
Yeah.
Got him.
There we go.
Devi, you and I should take the same side rather than going opposite directions.
Okay.
That way we can help each other.
Okay, I hit the dynamo twice.
Underneath stack is a bucket.
Okay, I'm pushing
Bucket
backside here.
Got him. I'm down
The
to the other
dynamo's
side
still
of the
here,
wall.
yeah.
There's 2 there.
Alright, I forced someone to fall off the map, so we are...
2 and 2.
There's,
Be
there
careful.
were still 2 in mid. Come left, Gem, if we want. Might be a good idea. Oh, never mind. Yeah. Here, I'll meet you on the left.
Lots of bombs coming in left. Be
Oh.
careful.
Oh, slosher. Oh, man.
Bucket down. Top left. Traded.
One
2v2.
more left. They're on the clam.
They've got
It looks
wall.
like the guy that's on right is on
There's
top
2
of
on
the
you.
stack.
2 on Debbie. Help Debbie. Help Debbie.
The plates.
Dynamo's 1.
Got 2. I'm down.
Dynamo's on our base.
One right wall and then one with the clam. Down to Zook.
Got 1 with Rain.
Still 1 in mid.
Got Dynamo.
Ooh. Alright, there's one to pick up the clam.
3.
Last one, ramp.
Yeah. Got it. Oh, to my left. On plat. On plat.
Watch wall. Someone's painting there.
Alright, Dynamo dropped
One's
in.
behind me.
down.
Jim, turn around. I hit him once. There's a slosher to the right.
2 in mid with me. Traded.
Oh, I didn't see the bomb.
Careful, Marie. You might want to back up. On wall.
pinch.
They're pushing Marie. Ah, Bucket got me. Debbie's got one on left.
There's a
Maybe 2 on
slosher
left.
here. There we go.
Nice. Okay.
There's 3 on the right. One more on the right.
There's still one more on right. I'm gonna rush that.
Okay. They're going mid here. They backed up.
Got special ready.
Okay. Oh, they're in our
They're
basket.
at our basket. Junior down.
Bucket. Bucket's on their plat on the left.
Alright, we have half of the overtime timer. I'm gonna try and get in. Get ready to jump.
Dude,
I'm
one
in.
of the spot bombs I've died to
I'm in,
this
I'm
match.
jumpable.
And not
Shoot. I jumped back for safe, and then I'm jumping back, but... Dang. I didn't even mean to jump back. It was by freaking habit, too. Just 2 in front, and I'm like, oh, ball, no, then jump back. Eee.
It's actually Gem with a G, Tom Shabam. I'm about to enter a rank up battle from A to S. Any tips? I have a whole video series on those kinds of tips, but I don't know which ones you need to hear right this moment, especially because I don't even know what weapon you're using. So play to learn, do the best you can, see how it works out. All right, well, that brings us to the VOD reviews segment. Eventually. Man, that took a minute. So, we'll start here with Octomarie. Octomarie was actually supposed to be in a lesson earlier today, and scheduling didn't work out, so we've bumped them back to this. Which of the matches do you want to do? Because we'll only have time for one, and we probably were only going to have time for one anyway.
probably mahi clams.
All right, you got it. 3VT 42 queued and Quadge And riddle. And then I might as well get Phantomoos in here while I'm on the screen.
Oh, it's not a tri-stringer replay.
735 G F7M7 and WW5G. Oops. We want that, we just don't want to hit play yet.
I'm so glad I got coffee today.
This one. Okay. What Ludi div do I play in? Yeah, I'm div 4. I play for Cold Coral. Okay. So, you said this was from a Ludi match, Marie?
Yeah.
Alright. So, we're looking at... Interesting, okay. So the other team is trying this Tetris wiper thing, where you have a couple players just diving, and then there's a junior for paint support, and I guess they're running it with an E-leader too. I don't know that you typically see an E-leader. Usually it's something like a Flingza or something with a comp like this, but this is sort of theory, to use the chess term for it. And then you guys have got Range Blaster, Hydra, C Junior, and Shot. I would say that your comp is a bit weak on the painting side. Range Blaster doesn't paint much at all, and Hydra, it has good burst paint, but it doesn't have good sustained paint. It's not going to be able to paint for a good long amount of time. Like at the end of the game, you're not going to see very high painting numbers from it. So that puts a lot of pressure on the Splatter Shot and the Junior to be painting. So set especially the Range Blaster up. The Range Blaster is really paint dependent. If it can't move, then it can't do very much. That said, this is Mahi Mahi, where nobody can move into mid safely, and so until you have a lot of control, until you've won a fight, they're probably not going to be trying to move up anyway. Double Wave Breaker, which isn't bad on a stage the size of a postage stamp. And then we've got a Booyah and a Trizuka, which you're never complaining about having. So the basic game plan that I'm thinking you're going to have here is you don't want to be like holding forward into them. They're going to hold forward into you anyway. So just wait and see where they come from and be putting, Hydra shots, Range Blaster shots, torpedoes on their positions so that they can't sneak up on you, and that as they run forward, you're already ready for them. Mercurius, I have a video on Ludi. So if you want to check out you're watching on Twitch, but on YouTube, because it should be linked below, there's a video where I explain what Ludi is. I actually did that officially for Ludi. Like, they reached out to me to make it. So that's the one that they send everybody to.
Yeah, I'm not the Hydra. I'm over there. I'm the Shot.
Yeah. Do you want me to be focusing on you, or do you want me to make this a team review? I was just assuming that we were looking at this more from their perspective, but I can definitely switch it to be specifically about you here.
I mean, I would prefer to at least focus a bit more individually, since I am still still learning the weapon. So there's just a few things that I'm not fully comfortable with on it, but.
All right. So one thing about let me back further up, because this is not where you started at first. So one thing that I'm looking at, knowing our comp and the enemy comp, well, that was fun. is oh wait, I should be screen sharing this. That's true. One sec. Need to give you more of a live view, so you're not looking through stream delay here. There, that'll help. Okay, so so one thing on your way out is you want to be taking a look at the enemy comps a little bit, and knowing that there's an E-leader, we definitely don't want to be on any open sight lines until we know exactly where the E-leader is. At my level, you rolling out here, I'm already doomed to get sniped by the E-leader. They're just going to have eyes on this. So we want to be taking whatever cover we can, which unfortunately is 2 very, very small blocks, and then otherwise you're staying on plat. This map sucks, and I don't like it. But we end up not getting sniped or anything, so this works out fine. But you can see the E-leader there, like, they had range, and I think that was actually not a fully charged shot. They could have hit you from there. So we need to be careful about that. As we're painting up on the left-hand side, we're going to draw a lot of attention to that. And so I'm not a huge fan of how your teammate came and rotated right there in front of you. That's, you know, they already know that you're there, so they're going to start shooting in that direction anyway. And your teammate going there in front of you means that now they're going to be able to hit both of you at the same time, maybe by accident. Another issue is that now you're going to retreat in the same direction, and you've got the same issue in other places. So we want to be taking off angles from each other. We don't want to be sitting right on top of each other, which also makes this map awful because there's only like one very narrow passageway on the left that you can push up. And so that's just going to happen naturally if you try to push, which means you don't want to try and push, which means you just sit back and farm for specials. Which, it's not a fun way to play the game. However, your team is actually pretty well set up to do exactly that. You just don't have that much support for pushing forward as a splatter shot on this team comp. You have a junior, which is going to follow along behind you. You have a range blaster, which is going to want to follow along behind you. You have a hydra that's going to stay all the way behind you the whole game. Nobody here is actually going to push up beside you in their ideal use case. They're just not going to have the range and the DPS and the accuracy to be able to...
that we picked our the range blaster so we could like hit up over the ledge over there, because you can get like somewhat close using the opposite block, so you can like take some shots, try and get people out of position over there. I think that was the main reason we picked it there for Mahi.
Like, in isolation, that's not a bad plan. What I'm looking at is not, are these bad weapons for the map? It's, is this a bad combination of weapons for the map? Because while a range blaster is a valuable weapon that is relatively strong competitively, it needs certain conditions to be able to function properly. Those conditions include a lot of paint to work with. Those conditions include somebody pushing up somewhat or skirmishing so that it can get into position to take fights, because it's going to be playing a lot more of a Slayer archetype than a Skirmisher archetype, so it needs someone to initiate for it. The thing that I'm seeing here with this comp is that to play this effectively, you really want to be letting them push into you. Let them, you know, overextend into you rather than have you force the issue and try to push them out of the way.
I think it's kind of their game plan, because they want to push, like, they want to push us back, and if we keep letting them inch forward like that, they're just gonna quick respawn back in and keep getting jumps in and force us. So I think we kind of have to play like closer to their speed so that they don't get in. Because like the point of the fast comps is that they do constantly get those jumps in. So I think that we wanted to not let them like just basically feed and push us back with that.
Well, your comp is quite simply not as fast as theirs is. And at top level, that is just a disadvantage. Now, I'm trying to work within, what we've got here. And I'm talking about, okay, if we're going to run this comp, and I've cited reasons why I wouldn't recommend playing this exact comp. But if we're going to play this comp, then this is the way that that comp is going to have to function. Because you guys are not equipped to push them, frankly. You have one frontline weapon that doesn't really have a lot of survivability. It's a weapon that relies on maneuverability, but it's a midweight weapon in the splatter shot. The junior doesn't have the range to really, or the accuracy to effectively kind of run at someone and push them out of the way. They're going to be getting kited if they try that. The range blaster is slow, and the Hydra needs to play from a certain range to be as effective as we want them to be. There are, in some maps, options for the Hydra to be able to flank and to take off angles and things like that and play more aggressively. But this map is just too small, and there's basically one backline position on this map. That's an exaggeration, but there really isn't that kind of space, that kind of room, that kind of cover for the Hydra to show up anywhere unknown, and it's just often too risky for them to do that. So with this many weapons that are not effective at pushing forward, what you're hoping to do is to sit in a relatively safe position, let the Tetras and the Wiper push into you, and trust that your defensive comp is going to be able to, one, see them quickly, which you can do with the torpedoes, two, or the wave breakers, that too. So you're going to be able to, spot them out. The auto bombs can help with that too, so you never get surprised by them. That they're going to rush forward, and then you're going to have all of this defensive utility in the Hydra and the range blaster and the torpedoes, that you're going to get picks, and then you're just going to have to move quickly off of getting those picks, and trust that from there you're going to be able to handle the other two teammates as you push forward. That's the only way that this is going to work, and you have, a valid point that they are going to play fast, and they are going to try and keep you, pushed up into spawn, but also, since your comp just simply doesn't have the tools to push forward, you're going to have to let them do that and just trust in your ability to hold from slightly further back in neutral. All right, nice. We get a pick there. Oof, that was a little bit lucky. I think after we get that pick, we just want to duck behind cover immediately, because we know that the Charger hasn't fired in a little while, and we're out on a sight line they can see, so we're definitely playing it a little bit fast and loose with the Charger's aim here, and it's working for now, but at higher levels, the Chargers are going to start hitting those shots, and we're going to have to respect them a lot more than this. So I wouldn't make a habit of, trying to play chicken with the Charger laser. So there, for example, the range blaster's trying to get up underneath the ledge that's in front there, but we can see, they're moving relatively slowly. They're not able to dodge shots. They kind of need someone who's going to be able to go in and distract and skirmish for them if they're going to make it into that position, or else we need to have full control of mid with nobody looking out over the top of it. And since neither of those conditions are met, they're just kind of running out into an open sight line against an E-leader, and that's probably going to happen to them every time they try that. So if they're going to make a play like that, and maybe they're calling out on the comms that they're going to try and get under ledge, something that you can try and do is maybe move up to the pillow on the left here and, draw some aggro at least away from the range blaster so that it's able to get into position there. As long as you make that sprint right as the Charger has fired a shot, then it's probably safe to go for and to get behind the pillow in time. And it's not super safe for you to be there individually, but with the enemy team's aggro split between you and the range blaster, it should give them at least a couple of shots to work with, and then maybe you can start to worm your way in and follow up on whatever damage they're able to do. So that's kind of the play there, to maybe protect our teammate, but we just don't have control of the other team's plat, and so moving into mid is just really dangerous right now. And that's how this map plays. And like I've said, it kind of sucks. So from here, firstly, I would encourage you not to worry too much about saving power clams, especially on this map, actually. If you ever want to kind of see on your own time, you can go into recon mode in Clam Blitz Mahi and just try and like knock out the enemy team's basket by yourself. And it's actually really easy. Reason being, they take, you know, a comparable number of clams to other maps and put them on a much, much smaller map. So it's never all that difficult to move, you know, into mid or onto ramp or something and find all of the clams you need to make a power. So you're not really, with 4.5 minutes left in the game, you don't need the extra help to make a power clam here. You can kind of just chuck this because it's giving your position away, and stealth is all that's keeping you safe at the moment. And then you have a better chance of being able to make it out of there. Now, at that point, you did probably want to be running away a little bit sooner, having seen that your teammate went down, that we were at a numbers disadvantage. But I think it would definitely help to not have that power clam. This is a little bit scary because in order to engage on these players, you're not able to see where the E-leader is looking. And so you can see right there, that was another shot that could have hit you if they had aimed it a little better. So we're getting away with a lot of that, but recognize that like every shot that the E-leader is in range, you want to just count on them hitting that and just assume that that's something that they would do. Because you will eventually run into a team where their E-leader is going to hit all of those, and when that happens, if you have the bad habit of trying to challenge them on these sight lines, you're going to end up dying a lot. Okay, nice, we get them with a bomb. It's just us and our Hydra right now. That's something I'm checking on the heads-up display, and so seeing that many gray X's on our side, I'm trying to back up just a little bit and collect more information before I try to push forward. Good job kiting that back. They should have had you on the second charge slash and they missed, but good on them for dodging away afterward to keep themselves safe. Okay, teammate is able to...
That one was a missed input.
Ah, okay. Once we deal with that player, you probably don't want to be swimming forward to fire this shot for a couple of reasons. Number one, if your feet get painted, you're stuck, and you're stuck out in the open specifically, so you don't have any cover to work with. It's probably just going to take you too long to get to the pink pillow over there to be able to fire this shot, and if you do so, the enemy team is going to know that like you can't use your main weapon or sub weapon for a good like 2 or 3 seconds once you get there because you have to fire this thing, and in that time, if the junior's watching, if the tetras are watching, they can rush you down. So just fire that from where you're at so that you can get behind this cover on the right a little bit more quickly, and then go back to trying to get paint control, trying to throw some bombs, getting special, and waiting for an opening to present itself. So. E-leader gets the Hydra, that's unfortunate. That's just a really hard matchup for the Hydra. It's like, if it can't find off angles or it can't like play around cover to avoid the E-leader entirely, it's just liable to get bullied sometimes. And this is a map where, like I said, there's really like one position that either backliner really wants to take. The one kind of maybe exception is the islands on the far left, where there's a wall to look around, but it doesn't help really protect the right ramp at all, which is where you want that kind of firepower the most. So just not really easy to play in this matchup. An E-leader with a really nice off angle there. But fortunately they missed. I like the idea to throw a bomb at the big bubbler there. Doing damage to big bubbler is just generally a good idea if you can do it from outside the opponent's range, because that kind of forces them to stay in the bubble. They're not able to push further forward at all. If they try to push out of the bubble and leave, then you just chuck a bomb off the shield and they blow up instantly. And so you can kind of bottle them up inside the big bubbler and contain them, and make it so that they can't really do anything with it. But they are going to be able to get up and get a score in. Now, from this position, you want to kind of anticipate, okay, opponents are coming from the right-hand side. And so what direction are they going to be looking? And go someplace where they're not looking. I'll usually try to defend this kind of a push from like the far left side of plat here, like where you've got that picture of the squid with the ball cap on, because they're going to be looking forward at the basket, and I'm going to be sideways to them, and that gives me an advantage in that my aim is on already, and they have to snap to me to get their aim on if they see me in the first place. But going straight forward, we can already see, actually, as we come over the top, that there are shots being fired at this. And I would definitely recommend anytime you're coming up over a wall where you know that on the top side they've got a lot of paint, I would recommend just sitting on the back side of that wall and using the third-person camera to look over the side a little bit first. I think here you're trying to go for the clam holder, which is understandable, but I think you're not going to get there in time based on what we've seen so far. And so having made that judgment, which I can't assume that you have made here, it looks like you're trying to stop it before it gets there. But having made that judgment, I would sit on the wall for just a second, take a look over the top, and from there I'd be able to see pretty easily, oh, there are Tetras right here. They're trying to shoot at my Hydra player. That would be a good target to go after, actually, because from here, you're definitely threatened a lot by the Tetras. The Hydra was threatened a lot by the Tetras. Like, this position right here that you just took is where I would probably have started that push from, so that way they have too many different things that they need to be looking at in different directions. Good job getting the shots out. Good job getting the bomb out. You did the absolute most that you could once the reef slider went in, and that's going to stop them from scoring any more than they already did. So, good effort there. But the problem still remains, okay, how do we get into mid? And I think that the way that we have to do that is by staggering our specials. We need to kind of maybe get a pick with the Trizuka. Maybe if someone drops into mid, then we Booyah Bomb them closer to our team and pick them that way. We just get a bunch of like torpedo pressure to force people back from the side of plat, and then maybe sneak you in there. And then when they're distracted by you, you sneak the range blaster underneath the ledge. But there's no like easy way in. There's no just hold forward moment for this team comp against theirs. And so we want to kind of play patiently. We want to spend a lot of time painting. We want to spend a lot of time throwing bombs. And we don't want to engage too hard because, like I've mentioned, you pushing in are not going to have support from your teammates as much as you would like to as a frontline weapon. And that's just by nature of the comp that's been picked. At this point, the E-Leader has, in theory, had time to hit a fully charged shot and splat you. But there's a point there where we kind of want to disengage once they miss. Because otherwise we're just pushing into a 1v2. And that play might work if you have the range blaster in position to help. But the problem is that mid is so painted their color that the range blaster can't be there. So we need to be a little bit slower if a push like that is going to be successful. And so I would just probably recommend not trying to push them here just yet. We do end up getting the Tetras and the Wiper in the meantime, though, so that'll give us a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, I think I was trying to distract the E-Leader and force the Junior to use their bubbler so that, like, there was safer mid fights and they couldn't just have the Junior come in and then place a bubbler for them. That was kind of my thought process. So even if I died in a 2v1 that was like a pretty obvious, you probably shouldn't have done that, I think that it was like kind of just like a distraction kind of play.
It ends up, I mean, you end up winning a 3v2 behind you. So it works. There are a lot of risks involved with that. Because even if it ends up being like a 2-for-1 trade, that doesn't end up going in your team's favor. So it really, it's not something that I would base an entire game plan around. Like if you're able to plan it up and draw it up ahead of time, but a splatter
Yeah, I
shot
don't think
can
that
kind of.
we definitely didn't do that ahead of time. That was something like I did in the moment to try and get them to have an advantage in mid, and it worked out.
A splatter shot can kind of do discount Tetris things if it needs to. Like you'll see Zero from Sayonara kind of playing like that all the time, and he gets away with it because he's just like really mechanically skilled and he can actually win those fights sometimes. But like for a role like that where you're trying to create those sorts of distraction fights, that's the sort of thing where you want to be running like QR Tetradualies. And that's the sort of playstyle you're looking at there. So very hyper aggressive, ends up working out, and it looks like we've got a little bit of room to work with. So hopefully this has allowed us to get our range blaster into the position they want to be in, but they do go down and we get stuffed. There's one other thing to consider is that as the only player on your team that is going to be especially effective pushing up quickly, them losing you means that they have to move in a lot more slowly. So you end up in this awkward position of having to aggress, but also having to protect your life. Which is why I generally recommend that teams run at least 2 really like effective high DPS frontline weapons rather than just having one. Because the range blaster, I'm not saying it is bad in terms of like slaying potential, but that it's not a frontline weapon. That it's going to be following up on what the team does. It's going to be locking in the space that the team controls rather than pushing up and taking that space itself. Because like you can see, like, let's back it up just a second. Let's look at like what happens with your team as you're down here. Okay, so we go down there, and the blasters trying to make their way in, but even though we use a special, we still aren't really able to get onto plat here. There's just like not a really quick go button or anything. Even through the Booyah Bomb, like, they're being watched and they can't move up as quickly and maneuverably to make shots miss. So if anything, we just lose ground, even though we have the numbers advantage. And, like, let's also watch from here. Okay, I guess here it's just your Hydra teammate who's up right now. But, like, there's one Tetradualies on your ramp right now. And we're trying to poke at that. We're trying to poke at that. We just don't have the resources to go in and shove them out of the way. We kind of have to play really safe from there. So that's unfortunate. So I like the idea here to pressure the clam carrier so that they can't super jump into, because you know that there's someone who's just dove into your base, right? But if you're able to put pressure on the clam carrier and they're trying to go for a jump play, they're not actually going to get that jump play off because the player who's trying to hold the clam is getting stopped. Now, that said, they've run off to the right and we're not pursuing that. So I guess maybe we're like trusting our teammates that we're going to be able to stop that junior player from being able to score, and we're trying to make space for ourselves since we don't have time otherwise, which honestly I think is a which honestly I think is a valid strategy. It's just there's in some situations on some comps, you rushing the junior from the side makes it more consistent that you're going to be able to stop them than letting your teammates deal with it. Because if you push up, but the junior's still in their way, they can't move up to meet you until after they've dealt with the junior. And you dealing with the junior from the side, from the flank, might make it faster that you can get them out of your team's way, but here I think it's probably the right call to go for it. And we're able to get that in, and so that gives us the lead. And now we're going to have to play really hard defense because 30 seconds left. We've exhausted a lot of resources just to get this one push in, and it's going to be very difficult for us to maintain. It's not something that our team is going to be able to easily do a lot of the time. So we just want to back up and put up a wall and force them to come to us to be able to make it in and just get a bunch of bombs in their way, make it as annoying and full of paint as possible for them to push ahead. Miss the jump button, happens all the time. Totally understand. But we're able to still hole up on plat here. And in theory, like, this shouldn't be very easy for them to push in and do. Now, this should probably get you sniped. And they miss. That does get you sniped. Fortunately, a range blaster is in position to be putting bombs in their way. As I'm jumping in, I'm seeing that there's a fight on the right around the right side of the pillow. We see that, like, Marlowe is the furthest forward, and so they're the one who's most likely to engage the enemy team, and we're kind of watching them to make sure that nothing's happening around them. And something is happening around the right side of that pillow. If we run to the right here instead of, like, throwing the bomb, we might be able to catch this Tetra Dualies and trade this back. We do end up managing to cut them off for long enough. So it ends up working out. So we were able to sprint to the basket and get the second power clam in, and we were able to hold them off on defense pretty well. And, like, that is, you know, a strength of this team comp, that as long as it's able to get a lead somehow, holding the lead is really easy for it to do. There's just so much stuff that you can throw in the way. Every single weapon has a bomb that's going to be obnoxious for them to deal with. And you have a Hydra. You have range blaster that can hit around corners even if it doesn't feel safe being in their sight lines. Torpedoes are just going to be a constant nuisance to them. Like, there's a lot of good stuff happening there that will help your team on defense. The challenge with a slower comp like that, and the reason that you tend not to see something like Hydra plus range blaster in top level play, is that because it's as slow as it is and it's difficult to maneuver, they often just don't manage to get pushes in the first place that put them into the lead. Once they do manage those, again, like, they would be able to hold out really well, but they just don't feel like they're able to punch through with that combination of weapons in the amount of time that a top level team is going to afford them. So that would be my biggest analysis of how that goes. I think, you know, there are a lot of situations here where you take fights that are riskier than you want to take, but you're kind of forced to do so. It's not really your fault that you need to be, like, challenging the charger laser so often, because that's the only way that your team really gets in this situation. So
yeah, that was what I kind of understood whenever I saw the comp they were running. I knew that I would have to draw the attention from the charger, and that's pretty much what I did all game, I feel like. So that's why they didn't really get more than that one push in. I probably could have died less. I took a few fights I probably shouldn't have, but, you know, it worked out.
I think overall, like, the only reason that the strategy worked was specifically that the charger missed so many shots. Because there might have been
I mean, I was kind of, like, begging them to hit me, and if they had hit me, like, more than just that one time, I think I would have been a bit more cautious. Mm-hmm. But we had also played 2 games before this, and I wasn't really getting picked by the charger a whole lot. They did have a few good shots, like, that stopped us from scoring in that one push. Mm-hmm. And they did apply, like, they did apply good pressure. I just think that I was begging them to hit me while I was trying to, like, move around and duck around, like, certain objects.
Mm-hmm. I think what really they probably should have tried to do was isolate you more often. if they rush, say, Tetra's Wiper at you and take you out, the rest of the team is just kind of in a holding pattern until you're back.
Yeah, but that's why I don't go
then-
down. That's why I just at least trade the 1v1. That easy. Just win the one. Just win. Just get one.
A
Just
one
trade.
a 1v1 for you in this team comp is not worth it, because your team needs you and the utility you provide more than they need like the Splatana Wiper to go down. You're the only weapon that can push forward quickly, and as such, if you go down, the team cannot push forward quickly. They lose the ability to do that, which means that they probably don't have enough tempo to be able to score, even off of something like a near wipe. So they kind of need you alive, but they also need you very active, and it puts a lot of burden on your shoulders from the way that the comp is built up. So I think that's what causes most of the awkwardness here. And so that would be something to maybe take back to talk to the rest of the team about. But, I mean, you did what you had to do. You adapted to the situation. You recognized that there was a weakness you could exploit, specifically that you could make the Charger miss you. And you got in the one push that you needed. And from there, I mean, your three teammates are going to be able to do all that needs to be done from there. Like, they can just, they can hold that out on their little hill in front of the Clamblitz goal for quite a long time before anyone's going to be able to punch through, and it's going to take them a lot of resources to do that. So at that point in time, the job had been done, and all it took was one more good fight, and you were in good shape. So that's my take on it. If you have any questions, now would be a great time to ask, but otherwise, I think we will head over to Phantomo. So anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, I think I'm fine.
All right, sounds good. So thank you so much for coming aboard and letting us, look over your footage for the benefit of the rest of us. I'm gonna head over now to Phantomo. You here, Phantomo?
I'm here.
All right. Well, smell you later, chumps.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Gary Oak. Is this a solo queue match, or is this with your team?
This is solo queue, except one person who I was in VC with.
Okay, sounds good. Which player is that?
Minnie.
Gotcha. All right. So we're looking at an all frontline comp, including 2 blasters. So they're not going to have a ton of paint here, but they are going to have the ability to clear tower, at least once they get close to it. But I like your comp a lot better because you've got more paint and because you have some range so that you can shoo them away from the tower. Like, once you get control of tower and you have someone in front of it, you're going to be able to stop them before they even get there. You don't have a lot of hard front line. You don't have a lot of like actual pushing power or like get someone out of the way sort of power. But with the range advantage that something like the Mini has, it can probably play pretty aggressively into this comp and not have too much trouble as long as it's checking its corners. So the big thing here, I would say, would be to check flanks. You don't want to get caught out by like a Luna Blaster sharking or by, the T-Tech coming around or something like that. And to abuse your range as much as you possibly can, because their longest ranged weapon on the entire team comp is a splatter shot. So that's pretty exploitable.
Wouldn't it be the Flash, though? Because it has the crab?
When it has crab, yes. But that's not a constant state. Something that I think people are starting to realize at top level is that one of the only things you can do to stop a crab is get the player before they farm the crab, which is hard because this is a really high paint weapon, but you'll see players like Kyo, and granted this is also just Kyo, but going for a lot of hard flanks to try and target players that might be about to use crab and try and take them out before they're able to use it, and kind of blunt the force of their push by doing so. That's not really a concern of yours. You are a tri-stringer. So you're able to get one cleanly. Clean for you. Your teammate trades, but somebody on the other side also got a pick. This would be a great time to pop the whale because you can't get an angle on that Clash Blaster. And if they turn to fight your teammate, that might be trouble for your teammate, but the whale will just go through the wall and help them out there. Okay, teammate gets them anyway, so you end up not needing it. And from here, I would definitely be looking for a time to whale. Good, you go and use that.
I was waiting for this guy to get off the tower, but they never did that.
Not even when the tower was threatened. Unfortunate. So at this point, if you're going to back up, I would like to see you backing up to a place where you have high ground rather than into the trench here. Because from the trench here, you can't really see or shoot at much. But if you just backed up onto the block that's to your back right, you can still keep that same elevation and have an angle, for example, on the player who's tri-striking right now. And maybe even at the jump past it. But from here, you can see there's that wall right there, like, there's not much you can actually hit from here. And also, if you're up on the platform there, it gives you the ability to drop to whatever side you want and jump out if need be, to keep yourself, to keep something in between you and the player who's rushing you. A really common play defensively is to swim off a ledge, activate the super jump back to spawn while you're in midair so that you're barely ever even touching the ground before you're lifting off. And that just keeps you a moving target for a pretty long time out of the time you're spending jumping. All right. That's about the closest you ever want to get to the opposing team on a super jump. And as soon as you land from there, I would like to see you backing up immediately, because if that shot were to see you landing behind the pillow, which they definitely can do, what they could be doing is just rushing you right away.
I tried to get on the ramp, but my hand kind of slipped.
Gotcha. So from here, from here, instead of readying a shot, I would spot that there's someone who's looking at me and just be holding ZL right away and be swimming backwards immediately. Good squid roll back. Good recovery there from the missed movement. Yeah, I like the effort that you're putting in there to try and, protect the tower, or to defend the tower. Unfortunately, this player just kind of gets through. If we spot them soon enough, it might be good to, paint up that area in front so that they can't rush you as quickly and you have more time to get away. But, now that there's a player who's dropped in, now we might want to be moving backwards a little bit quicker so that we're not getting stuck. And moving back in this direction, I would say corners you more. It might actually be better to get up on glass, and then if they keep pushing you, you can drop off of glass and super jump out. But glass would still give you some high ground. It would let you potentially aim shots at the tower when it gets close enough. That might be a better escape route in that situation.
Or maybe if I just stayed on top of the sponge.
They're going to be able to hit that pretty easily. Because there's nothing blocking their shots. If you're on top of the sponge, they can just kind of aim up and hit you. So I wouldn't count on that staying safe. Although it definitely would have kept you from getting exploded. But the idea with retreating, with running away, is you just don't ever want to corner yourself. This is something that I learned from playing tag. if you're running away and somebody, you know, loses sight of you, but they know what general direction you're in, if you put your back to a wall, maybe they you know, run past you and go the wrong way, but it's also usually like a 50-50 shot that they just find you, and if they find you, you're caught. If you go the other way, yeah, it might be more clear where you're going, but now you're going to give yourself more options to keep running. So from here, when you back up towards your spawn area, that puts your back to a wall. If you can find a way to run backwards that lets you keep taking shots, or a way to run backwards that lets you just keep backing up and kiting this player who's chasing you, that could potentially give your teammates more of an opportunity to help you. It forces them to overextend to chase you. Or it could just give you a better chance to jump out than if you get your back to a wall and now they're able to just close distance with you. They're able to get to a point where your range advantage doesn't matter anymore. Someone over to the left still. I think we might have missed that player because you're not really shooting at them or anything. I'll point it out when it shows up. So you see on the left side, there's a little tacticooler thing. I believe... Wait, that might be... No, that's your teammate. Never mind. But here's the T-Tech on your left right there. So they're over there, and we just kind of keep shooting at this when they've actually just gone and engaged on our teammate. Nice shot. So this gets us lead. If we're about to hit checkpoint, running to try and get on tower there, I don't know. That's a point where the opponents are very likely to engage, and so rather than just trying to like get on tower and have them run forward, knowing the situation, knowing the state of the game, that people are respawned at this point, I'd just be trying to take an off angle and see if I can get, if I can defend the tower from the position I'm at. Like, I talk about this in the tower control video, but if you are that backline weapon and you feel like you should be riding the tower, but your teammates aren't giving you that opportunity, the next best thing that you can do is just try and use your range to defend the tower from an off angle. So you standing in mid and firing at those players as they run at it, that's the best way that you're going to be able to create that defensive perimeter. And maybe that slows them down enough that your teammate's able to clean up. But from here, we want to be running backwards. Mm-hmm.
My internet just cut out for a bit.
Oh, okay.
Did I miss anything?
It depends on how long you've been...
About the guy, the T-Tech guy on the left.
Okay. The other thing was that you hit a nice shot to take out the T-Tech. Then there's a player who's riding tower. We'll back it up to show. So a player gets on tower and is working its way through the checkpoint. Now from here, we see that there are shots that are fired to the upper right. You can see one of those droplets suspended in the air underneath the tent in the top right. So we know that someone's coming from there, and there are also some signs coming up pretty soon that someone's coming from the left as well. We see them in front of us now. So knowing that we have a teammate on the tower and that there's nobody else in front of the tower, ideally, yes, you know, perfect world, the roles are already swapped. You're the one who's riding the tower. They're the one who's in front. However, in the position that we're in now, if you just try and like run over to get on the tower or something, there's no protection for the tower. They can just run straight up to it and defend it immediately. So the best thing that you can do for the time being is to actually fire at the players who are trying to approach the tower and try to help defend it using your range. There's a part in the tower control video where I talk about how if you should be riding the tower but a teammate is insisting on doing it themselves, then try to take an off angle and use your range to defend it and try and create that sort of perimeter yourself even though a frontline player would ideally be best for doing that. So like right here, instead of, you've already got 2 players actually on tower. You don't need to be adding to that number. We need you, like, keeping these players from getting this close to the tower at all. And that should be what we're focusing on as they get through that check. Because now, once we start moving close to the tower, where they're ultimately heading for, you're all of a sudden in a range where it's not really helpful for you to be there anymore, and you just need to back up. So we lose some time, and we're not able to ever fire any shots to defend. So, you being last, this is very smart. Run as far back as you need to. Whee!
Would it have
Crab.
been
Nice.
would it have been faster to super jump, or was
No,
swimming
that you
better?
did. That was exactly right. Like, they never actually got in range where they could have splatted you. So, just because, let me. You're probably not able to see this picture if I draw it. Let me open up sendu.ink/builds real quick, and I will draw it on the map for you. Oh, not builds, /plans. Okay, and I just need to maximize that and then switch windows, and it should be there. Well, it's there, just with some other stuff. And this
Right to
is
RNG.
Hagglefish, tower control, set background, and then zoom way out. Okay. So. If you are here. Actually, let's make that a circle so it's easier to move around. If you are here and you're the only player up, you have 2 options. One is to back up. Now, as you're backing up, you're only going to back up if the opponents are going to chase you. So, if there's a player here on the enemy team who just kind of sits here, then you only have to back up this far, and then you can keep controlling this space. So, by being there at all, you're forcing them to move you out of the way. And that's okay as long as you can stay safe. Like, if you're, standing around here and letting them get this close to you, then that's a problem. But that's not what you do. You back up fast enough that they're out of range of you the whole way. And so even though, you're literally just giving up all of the ground as you go, you are forcing this splatter shot to kind of think about you and take the engagement tactically, and that will slow them down a little bit as they try to push across. If you were to jump out and just remove yourself from play completely, they just take a straight line to your basket, right? Or, sorry, to the tower and start moving it right away. But before they can push the tower, they need you about maybe this far away from it. And so the entire time that they're forcing you out of the way, right until you get to about here, they can't safely take the tower. And so you're still buying your team time by existing there. You being there on the map, even though it's easy for them to force you out, as long as you can stay alive, being there still is applying a certain kind of pressure that is worth having and is worth not just jumping out over. So I think what you did was correct. The
I
only
have another question though.
Okay.
Would it still be worth it if I had to paint my way back?
So the only concern here is if they are able to catch you. And they do get awfully close. What works here is that you have all of this orange paint behind you, and you're able to just completely swim all the way away. Taking this shot is the riskiest part of it. I think you stopping and firing at them makes it so that you could potentially get splatted. But it ends up working out anyway.
I see. I don't see actually the stream.
Oh. That's true. Because I haven't switched. Okay, so. Let's back it up. Sorry about that, stream. Because they couldn't see it either. Alright. So, from right here, this is all fine. That extra shot might have been a little much because you're the last person up, but by this point you've probably recognized that, and you just swim. And the fact that you're able to just swim is excellent. That gets you out completely safe. Now, this shot right here is what might get you picked, because this paints your feet. If they just hold forward at you and get into range before they start firing the weapon, they've got you. But they don't do that. They fire extra shots that they don't need to be firing and don't start, like, moving at you right away. So what that tells me is that they thought they were in range and they weren't. They fired the weapon at you, it didn't do anything, and that's why you're getting away with this. So I think swimming backwards was the correct play. And if they peel off and go someplace else, then you don't have to keep backing up. You can still, you know, continue to at least, like, discourage them from moving forward. Like, give them a vague inclination that you dislike what they're doing. And even that is enough to slow them down at least a little bit from going and taking the tower. Okay, nice. I like that we're firing this at tower. We get that player. I don't know what they were trying to do with the tri-strike from there. That's not going to help them. Nice shot. From here, I would probably be aiming for the tower immediately, because there is still someone on the tower. But we get them, and now we're going to be able to push up. It looks like you may not have noticed that they were all down there. You fire a lot of shots on the left side there. Players have started to spawn, but, like, the player who was last was the Luna Blaster. So with them being down, you're free to just kind of get moving forward again. If you're worried about this player on the left, which it looks like you are from the shots that you're firing, one thing that you can do besides just staying in place is you could potentially scoot yourself over to the right and take the corner really, really wide so that you're keeping your range as you turn around the corner. That way you can see around the corner better, and you're still at the same range away from them as you would be if you were to just stand still on the left. And you might actually be able to flush them further out of there because you get a better line of sight on them. This is a funny shadow pattern that's happening on your right side speaker there because of the way that
Interesting.
The wire is animated. You can see the wire behind it and how it's a bunch of rectangles.
It's on the helmet as well.
Yeah. Anyway.
I like
and
how
you're
that
last
happened.
again. Remember that you can just, like, jump onto the switchback. You don't have to swim all the way around the little fence there. If you go squid form, you go through that fence, right? So you can just jump, stay in squid form, land on the ramp. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I'll try that next time.
Might be a little tricky if you're trying to do it backwards, but with some practice, I'm sure even that's possible. So yeah, I like that you're paying attention to the bottom right, making sure that that's clear before you try to push up or anything. This is good defensive painting overall. I'm a little worried about what's to our left. Like, our teammate went down, and I don't know to what extent that was, like, bombs, and to what extent that was, like, a sharking player. Okay, you found the shark. Now there's someone on our switchback. Okay, good. You spotted it. And again, like, running to here... Okay, so your goal, it looks like, is to try and get up over the top wall. But that's not something they have to let you do if they see that coming. I think if this shot were me, I would just shoot the sponge. And now... your cover is smaller, and you don't have the way out that you're looking for, and you're kind of stuck. So going straight to that sponge is not the first thought in my head to try and escape from there, because you're potentially gonna corner yourself by going there. Nice shot. Lucky that the Zuka doesn't get us, but I mean, aren't we always? Nice. And that was a really important pick, actually, because that keeps them from clearing the checkpoint and getting the lead. So it's good that you got the shots when you did.
I think later on I panic a bit and get really out of position.
Nice! That's 2. I wish that every time you got your 2 picks here, your teammates stayed alive so we were able to actually have a numbers advantage. That has not been the case. From here, might want to just jump, or... yeah, from here... So, there's a thought in my head that if you jump out, do you have time to get back and defend the tower? Which I think you do, because they have to go through the entire checkpoint again. But if you're worried about that, what you could do is actually go back about this far into the trench before they know you're there, and just shoot at the back of the tower. It's a little bit scuffed, because if you're there for any length of time and opponents respawn, they've got your back. But right now, they're all in mid and they're all pushing the tower. So I think you would definitely get away with that. So that's an idea if you were worried about that sort of thing. But from here, now that we're jumping back, we actually don't have time to be there to have an impact on the tower checkpoint. And so because we stall for that long without being able to have an impact on the tower, it's able to just kind of push through. So we wanted to either jump out right away or position ourselves further back in the street there, in the alley, so that we could just shoot them in the back as our teammates are defending. So, do you have any questions for me, Phantomu?
I do have some.
Okay.
Some that might not be related to the replay itself.
Well, fire away.
Okay. Would doing 1v1s... Is doing 1v1s good practice?
That is a good question. I think it is to an extent. Any kind of practice that you do outside of a coordinated team in 4v4 environments against especially other teams that are scrimming you, it's going to have limited effectiveness. There are certain things you're not going to learn from any practice other than that in tournaments. So it's important to keep those limitations in mind. For example, solo queue is only going to test your mechanics and your decision making. It's not going to test your ability to coordinate in a team setting. It's not going to test your ability to have those mechanics and that decision making while you're making callouts. So it has to be focused on very particular things that you're trying to improve in order to be effective practice. And 1v1s, there are a lot of variables in a 1v1 that are different from the way that you will play the game normally. For one thing, there has to be some kind of rule by which you are forced to engage, because playing 1v1s optimally can sometimes devolve into some pretty boring strategies, like taking one spot of a map that's really difficult for the other player to approach and just holding it, even though in an objective mode you would just be letting them score by standing there. So there are some ways that you'll want, especially, you know, once people start getting good at them, to constrain the rules to force you to engage in some way. But it's going to help you with mechanics. It's going to help you with the part of the game where you need to outplay the other guy. Where, like, you know, you end up in a 1v1, whoever comes out of that 1v1, in the game, like, that's the player who would win in the 1v1 when you're practicing them. So there's definitely some value to them, but they also are not at all reflective of which team is likely to win. Like, I would say in, like, individual 1v1s, the players on, well, Sayonara has gone through some roster changes recently, but like their roster when they had like Zero and when they were playing with Leafy and they had like Sun and Q. I think that they ran at, oh, where did they run that? It was one of the majors recently. That roster, I would say, generally had the better 1v1 players, but they lost to Starburst because Starburst wasn't trying to win 1v1s. They were trying to actually play the team game and coordinate and set up fights that they could win even though they were worse at 1v1s. So that skill helps, and it will make you better. Just realize like what it is that it's actually helping you with, and don't let that change like your team decision making or your coordination, because it's purely mechanical practice in that situation.
So how well would 2v2s work then?
Better for
You
sure.
kind of get
2v2s do force you to play differently still, but they force you to preserve your life, for example, because one player going down in a 2v2 is a way bigger deal than one player going down in a 4v4. In a 4v4, a lot of the time, like, you're able to just trade back. But in a 2v2, as soon as one player's down, if the other two players rush you at the same time, you're probably stuck. Not a lot you can do. So,
would it be helpful for like training coordination and stuff with one specific teammate?
yeah, that's not a bad plan. You know, I would always say that the best place to learn is generally going to be in the 4v4 scrims or tournament matches. But in the absence of those, yeah, I mean, there are 2v2 tournaments that happen from time to time. If your team wants someone to play against and Open is proving to not give you teams that are worth practicing against, but you still want some competition, then maybe you run some 2v2s or something like that. But I would say like 4v4 matches are always going to be the best simulation for 4v4 games. That like if you're doing something other than that, it's a drill. It's like something where you're trying to isolate a certain thing that your team is having trouble with, and just deal with that before putting it back into the larger context.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Did we get raided and my notifications are turned off? Oh my god, we did.
You got raided.
I got raided. Let's go fix the notifications. It went off for you. The problem is, so like, did it like go off with audio on stream?
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Okay. It'll do that. But the problem is, I had it set up in such a way that I won't hear it.
Oh.
I can only hear it if I have a certain setting turned on OBS. It was that setting I was telling you about, Devi, with the.
Yeah. See, I thought you were finishing your question or answering the question and then coming back to it, so that's why I didn't come in. But I guess I could have anyways. But yeah.
But welcome, Power. Everybody should follow Power. Power is one of the most cracked players alive. Just really, really, really solid. I remember them playing like a lot of different weapons. I want to say that they main Charger, but like they can also just kind of flex onto whatever they want because they're good at the video game. But I remember them hitting some sick splatterscope snipes back in Splatoon 2 days. Yeah, so like I think they made backline, but they posted on Twitter recently, new goal, get 50 wins with every weapon, and like, yeah, they can do that. So anyway, thanks for bringing everybody over, and welcome everybody who is watching Power Stream. If you don't know me, I am Jem. I run Squid School, which is a bunch of different things. It's a YouTube channel, it's a TikTok channel, it's a Twitter account. There is a Discord server. I've got a Metafy where people ask for coaching for private lessons. I've also got a Patreon. So like it's all of those things. but it's me. So, hi, nice to meet you. So that'll do it for our VOD reviews today, I think. Well, unless you had more
I
questions,
actually
Phantom.
have
Okay,
two
yeah.
more. Two more.
Never mind, it will not be it for our VOD reviews. We still have questions.
Plot twist. Okay, so would any of the two team comps on this VOD be viable or competitive?
I like your comp better than theirs, because I have an extremely low opinion of both the Luna Blaster and the Clash Blaster. There are others who will definitely argue that the Luna is better than I will argue that it is. And there are some who will say that Clash Blaster has a niche in tower control. I think that those two weapons are a detriment to any team that they're on, personally. They do not paint enough and do not provide enough slaying potential because of the lack of range that they've got, that I would really consider either of them to be worth running. The T-Tech and the Splash are fine. Like, those are totally reasonable weapons to run. And your team could do with a weapon like one of those, because your comp, it has Zimmy, which is going to be a good mid line. It has you, which is going to be a good back line. But then it's got two supports, effectively. The Dapples, at top level, they play as supports. They can obviously go for picks when they're able to shark people. But strong players, you're not going to expect that they check blind corners against the Dapple dualies when they don't know where they are. The Dapples are rarely going to be able to get into positions where they surprise anybody. So they can go for stuff, obviously, when they get the opportunity, and same with the Junior, but they don't have a weapon that's very consistently going to be able to push forward and move the enemy team out of the way. The Mini is probably the best choice for that, but it needs a lot of setting up, and it's going to have to charge. It's not exactly a Nautilus in terms of its like accuracy. So it's got a lot of flaws in that regard. So you're going to have trouble pushing up, but their whole team is just going to have trouble staying alive because aside from the Crab Tank, nothing that they have has any real range with like the main weapon, I guess. So I guess you could say that the Zook is there too, but nothing's going to have a ton of range over there, and so you're just going to bully them with the combination of Tri-Stringer and Mini. And if you have frontliners that are able to push in and follow up, the Tri-Stringer and Mini are going to have a field day because they have all of these targets that are focusing on your frontliners that can't reach you. And so that's going to make it a lot easier for you to deal with them.
So, Junior and Dapples could be switched out for front lines.
Yeah, I don't see a reason to run both Junior and Zimmy. The reason would be that you want double bubble, but that's not a thing that people are really favoring these days because of how easily bubbles are being shredded and how little pressure they have for pushing forward. So I definitely swap at least one of those two out, probably both, for... I mean, Splash-O-Matic is the immediate answer that would be best, but Splash-O-Matics would work. You could run like a 52 or a Tetras or a Splatter Shot or something like that. Any of those kinds of things that will actually be able to make the enemy team move out of the way, I think would be better options there. All right.
Okay, the other question then. I'm not really sure how I should word this. So, what if... So sometimes I'd see the enemy ink, like, in an area. And sometimes I'd find myself trying to paint over every single speck of enemy ink, only to find out they weren't there, because I'm scared of them sharking. Is there any way to, like, prevent that from happening?
the more awareness you have, the fewer places you'll have to check, because you'll just know, okay, well, there's 2 down, I see one of them, and the other one just jumped out, so I know that they can't be there. It doesn't hurt to paint that stuff anyway. A lot of the time, like, just because they aren't flanking you currently doesn't mean they won't flank you afterward. Devi also has a recommendation to use Toxic Mist, because Toxic Mist will reveal players if it's on top of them. You know, you'll hear the sound effect and see the little, like, mist effect over the top of them. And that's a way that you can put out, like, an AoE thing that will check that for you without having to fire a bunch of, like, carefully placed shots.
But sometimes I do spend way too much time on doing that.
I didn't really notice it here.
It's
It is
not
impor-
like it doesn't happen in every single game, but it still happens.
I guess one thing to think is, like, if there were a player here, would they not have attacked you by now? Once you get to that point where it's like, okay, at this point, they would have jumped out of here if they were actually here. So I'm just going to move on. That's something that you can often get away with.
I think it might just be a psychological thing then.
Like, of all the weapons in the game to play that way, like, a backline weapon is definitely the best one, to try and keep yourself safe in that manner. Like, you can see, you're still having an impact on the game, even though you are playing safe and painting defensively. There are certainly times where, like, especially on a coordinated team, if people are calling out that they're pushing up, and they're pushing pretty far up, you might need to just kind of get up there and trust that they've cleared the way out for you to be able to assist them in what they're trying to do. But I have not seen this abundance of caution, like this excess of caution so far. If it is, you know, an issue, then just, like, think about the odds that there is actually someone there, and once those odds are sufficiently low, you can just kind of start moving forward again.
I see. Yeah, that'd be all the questions I have for now.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks for the VOD review.
Absolutely. And Willow I am, yes. I do apologize for not pinging you earlier, but you definitely are on the docket for today. Come on and hop into waiting room chat in the Discord, and I will pull you up, and we can get your match loaded up.
I'm gonna go to sleep now.
Yeah, it's pretty late for Phantom Mo.
I'm not even in Britain. I'm 3 hours ahead. It's almost 5 a.m.
Yeah, go bed. Go bed. Have sleep.
Okay. Good night, Squid School.
Good night,
People.
Phantom Mo. And welcome, Willow I am. Not hearing you yet, but I trust that I will shortly. I'm not hearing anything from Willow. Not sure if they're muted or computer's mic issues. Okay, got it. Oops. Okay. In the meantime, I am going to really quickly mod one of our mods. Because they're not modded yet. Which is a rather silly predicament to be in for a mod. Okay. All right. They're modded there. And shortly, we will have them modded on the other side, on YouTube. Keeping an eye on...
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Excellent.
All right. So, let me just double check real quick. Should get there. All right. And here we go. And you've got a file that you've recorded here. So
Yes.
we'll
Do
get this.
note that my recording device, the audio was desynced from the video.
Okay. So I'll just probably keep that muted if that's the case. I need to get this shrunk down so we can see the whole thing.
And can you also turn up Willow IM's volume just a bit?
Turn up.
Yes.
Okay.
Also hi.
Howdy.
Hi. Okay. Say something really quick, Will.
Something really quick, Will.
Thank you. Something else?
Something else.
That should be about where I'm at. So that should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
All
sounds
right.
better.
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.
All right. This sounds
Yeah,
loud
so-
on my end, but it looks like it's actually relatively quiet on stream. So I'm going to trust that this audio is fine. Folks, let me know if this is too loud.
Yeah. I believe the audio actually... So, I went in my video editing program and adjusted the audio timing, so I believe it's like in sync at the start and then gradually gets out of sync as the video goes on. So that beginning there was a relic of offsetting the audio.
Okay.
Regardless, this is a solo queue environment in Anarchy Open, I believe.
Okay. So we've got you on Tetras, and then fairly standard team comp with the exception of an L3. L3 is not a bad weapon, just you tend to see Splash-O-Matics instead of it. So otherwise, honestly, pretty standard. And then they've got some stuff going on. They've got a Glugadoolies. They've got a V-Doolies. So with Glugas plus Clash, they're not going to paint an awful lot. And they're also not going to move as quickly. Then they've got a Brush and a V-Doolies. So the V-Doolies probably need to paint a bit more than, than they normally would want to give paint for the rest of the team. So I think your team has a pretty significant paint advantage. You're the only player on the team that doesn't have a weapon that paints as well. And so they're probably going to be able to try and outpaint the other team and just work for that kind of win condition. But you're not going to be able to communicate that to them. You are the Tetras. Your job is to turbo feed. So we'll just see how it goes. I think in terms of matchups here, you don't want to just like blindly push into the Glugas. Pretty much everything else you can probably take just because you outrange it and you're going to be able to kite it with rolling backwards.
Okay.
So once you know where the Glugas are and you know what sight lines they have, everything else is just kind of open season whenever you can find fights on it.
Okay.
At the beginning of a game of Rainmaker, typically you want to rush the shield rather than spending any extra time painting. Because if you get the pop it gives you a lot of paint already in mid, and mid is where you need the paint more than in your freezer in this case.
Okay.
So most of the time, unless there is one exception, and the exception to when you want to rush the Rainmaker Shield is when you look at the other team's comp and you're like, there is no way in heck that we are going to outpaint that on the Rainmaker Shield. So if, for example, they've got like double sploosh, yeah, you don't want to try and contest that. That's just way too much DPS to try and deal with. They've got like a Bloblobber plus a double bomb junior. Nah, I'll pass on that one. But here, you have a lethal bomb. The shot has a lethal bomb. The machine has a bomb that's useful on the shield. The L3 is going to have a good amount of DPS. And meanwhile, they have a Clash Blaster and they have a Brush. The Brush isn't going to want to get super close to the shield unless they feel pretty confident they can pop it. And the Clash just is some of the worst DPS in the game. So you probably can outpaint them for the shield, especially if you get close to them. The optimal way to get out quickly on this map is to land on left stack from the rail and swim across that to get up here, because it puts you the least far off a straight line to get there. And also, while you're falling through the air from the rail, you can save time by painting on your way down, so you already have a trail on the stack once you land there.
That makes sense. There's a pattern that I find myself getting into. It happened a couple times in the past. Didn't happen in this match, but it's I get to the Rainmaker, I shoot it for a while, I see they're shooting it for a while. It seems like it's going to pop in their favor, and my ink tank is running low. So I start to swim away, and the Rainmaker pops and splats me before I can get fully away. How do I deal with that other than by just not even going for first pop?
You can space around the Rainmaker in such a way that you don't have to move very far to get out of the explosion radius. And then when you start to recognize, like, even if it's your color, but it's starting to shift to their color and you know you're not going to be able to put out any extra DPS, look at it preemptively and go, okay, the direction that this is going is an explosion for them. So it's time for me to take those 2 steps backward that I need to be able to get out of the way. And with you could potentially just like dodge roll backwards. And dodge rolling backwards is nice for you because Tetris specifically keep firing shots while they're dodge rolling. So you can be continuing to put out DPS as you're retreating back to that safe distance. And then it is only once you're out of range to hit the Rainmaker Shield that you stop firing. And from there, you should be pretty safe.
Good.
So what happens here? I don't know what hits you there.
It's a suction bomb on the
Oh,
crates.
I see it. Okay. Right there. Gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't see that in the heat of the game either.
Yeah. So, yeah, probably something that was visible at some point. Is the only... Where does this get thrown from, though? Oh, you know what? It gets thrown during the explosion. Because there it is now, landing on the wall. But the explosion camouflages that so well that it's really hard to see. So the only thing that really you have to warn you about this is the audio cue, which, of course, we didn't hear. But one thing that I would caution you about is this line of paint that you paint right here. That's not an amount of paint that is going to be valuable for the purposes of, like, swimming in, moving towards them, and fighting. The only thing that paint is going to do, if that's all you're going to paint, is let the enemy team know you're here. Now, if you paint more in this time, that's a good option because that gives you some places where, like, they're like, okay, are they on the left side or are they on the right side? That actually creates some ambiguity after you drop down into the ink. Another option is just not to paint at all because you're a Tetradualies and you can push into enemy ink and just be okay doing that, which is what players will usually do in a situation like this. You are already hitting shots, so it looks like you kind of knew that the player was there. So just kind of unfortunate that bomb got hidden so well. And they probably get pretty close to check for that, but your teammate does an admirable job of stopping them right when they need to. So from here, man, we don't get a lot of warning about this Zipcaster either. It again would only be an audio cue that you would be able to hear to tell you that this is coming. And you almost get your shots. I would definitely consider rolling. I know you're probably worried about rolling backwards off the ledge, but if you roll to the right, you're still going to put distance between you and them, possibly enough that they start missing. And you'll still be able to hit them. So instead of trying to like out GPS...
I think the problem is actually I don't have the physical reaction time to get the roll there.
You do have the reaction to fire the shots. And so from there, it's only one button press. You fire at least 2 or 3 or 4 shots like before you go down. I think like if your first impulse instead of to shoot at them is to just dodge roll, if that's your like default, I am in combat, so now I must roll, then you can definitely get in the habit of doing that.
Got it. Okay.
So games like this are not about reaction time so much as they are about trained game knowledge. They're about you've thought about this situation before, you've seen this situation before, you now know what the correct idea is to do it, and over time you run into that situation so often that you don't even have to think about what you're supposed to do anymore, and your muscle memory just takes care of it for you. You've got your mental process streamlined well enough that you're not necessarily thinking in terms of what buttons you have to press anymore or what the best tactic is. You're now just thinking in terms of, oh, I need to roll right. And you're just kind of going for it. So, comes with time, comes with experience. Like, don't just like look at a reaction test that you take online. Like, press the spacebar when the exclamation mark shows up. You know, those kinds of things. That's not really what makes a top player in Splatoon. Like, they're not Air Force pilots who have that like 1/10 of a second reaction time, or like Olympic sprinters or anything like that. They're relying on being nerds more than they're relying on being superhuman. All right. So, team has picked up the Rainmaker, and there are players jumping in. From here, you as the Tetradualies, it is your job to be up there in front, keeping players off the front of the Rainmaker. And so, once, you know, we've got the Rainmaker picked up, and once there's some area cleared in front of it, we need to be getting ourselves up there with all possible speed. The way that Tetradualies are played competitively is hyper aggressive. It is the single most aggressive weapon in the entire game. It is a weapon that will just roll into enemy turf and feed. And it will run a bunch of quick respawn to, you know, make up for the fact that it's probably going to die a lot. But even if it trades, it is pushing the enemy team back, forcing them to deal with it, forcing them to turn around to deal with it in the back of their spawn. And playing from far back from behind the Rainmaker carrier is generally not the play that you want to go for. In Rainmaker or in any objective mode, really, what it all boils down to is, can you stay in between the enemy team and the objective? Can you keep them off the objective by putting yourself in the way and being able to kind of like keep them stuck there, not to not get bowled over, to not get pushed aside, to be able to stay in their way and stop them from doing what they want to do. That doesn't mean you have to like get out in the open and take open sightlines against an E-leader, but it means that you have to be applying pressure so that the E-leader can't stand there. You have to be applying pressure so that the E-leader's teammates can't stop you from pushing the sightline the E-leader can't see. right now with the Rainmaker frontlining, the very first player that it runs into, you should expect to be able to stop the Rainmaker and end your push. So you want that player to not run into the Rainmaker, but to run into you instead.
Right. So I think that is roughly my thought process here, but I think what's happening is I'm thinking about ways to go in and choosing the wrong ways to try to go in.
Okay, so we can talk about that. The big thing that I'm talking about with like that's triggering me to talk about the speed with which you push to the moving forward is that we're taking the time to get up on top of this block. Getting on top of this block isn't going to put us any closer to being in front of the Rainmaker. It's going to be faster to just run off the ledge and get up on stack and get in front of them.
Okay.
Because like that jump onto the stack isn't one you can make. So getting all the way up and then jumping off is only making it take longer for us to reach the ground. Being airborne in Splatoon is not fast. It is much faster in pretty much every situation to be swimming through your own ink. So you have your own ink below you, below this ledge. Any time that you're spending in the air is time that you're not spending swimming through your own ink and getting there faster. Do you tend to dodge roll during combat?
When I remember to.
Gotcha. The answer should be as close to a flat yes as possible. Because Tetradulies, they don't actually have very fast DPS. As aggressive as they are, and as often as they want to take fights, they're actually kind of slow compared to some other weapons at actually splatting someone. And so the dodge rolls do a couple of things to improve that. One, they vastly improve your accuracy, because the accuracy that you get when you're aiming in dual reticle mode is pretty awful. You're going to miss a lot of shots, and that's even if you have both reticles lined up. But in dual reticle mode, if only the left reticle is aimed at the opponent and the right reticle is missing, every other shot is going to miss. So that's one thing that's a big deal. Another thing that's a big deal is that you actually get an increase in the fire rate outright when you dodge roll. So even compared to the left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right that you're getting from dual reticle mode, the shots that are firing ahead are going faster than that. So they're like just like a little bit more DPS. The combination of those two factors makes it so that if you do just stand in an opponent's range and hold down the ZR button without having rolled first, you are actually at a significant disadvantage in that fight most of the time. The way that you beat them is by using the dodge rolls, because that increases your DPS, but that also makes them miss shots. That's usually a part of the Tetradulies game plan, is to move in a way that makes it really difficult for the opponents to actually hit them. So if you outrange an opponent, you want to be dodge rolling backwards to get out of their range while you're still able to hit them. If an opponent outranges you, you want to be rolling somewhat towards them. And obviously you want to be maybe moving a little bit side to side to make them miss as you go, because if they're firing at you first, then they have an advantage, but you want to be closing the distance with them so that you get in range. If someone's at the same range as you, or if you're both in range of each other regardless, then you want to be moving side to side, because that's going to throw their aim off the most out of any of the options available to you. But it's that movement and the ability to shoot while moving that you get from the Tetradulies uniquely that makes this weapon what it is. That is its biggest strength as a weapon. It's not an easy weapon to play by any means. It is mechanically one of the most challenging weapons in the game to play at top level, because having your aim on throughout an entire Tetradulies roll and then just doing another one right afterwards and still having your aim on is a very challenging task. But I would definitely at least, even if you're not super comfortable trying it in matches yet, spend all of the time that you have in the lobby between matches trying to hit the dummies by dodge rolling. Get used to how far a dodge roll goes so you know how much you have to adjust your aim by as you're moving. So that you know, like, okay, I'm going to start here, and if I'm going to roll to the right, then I need to adjust to the left by this much. And start trying to get used to that and try to even get your aim on well enough that you're hitting shots in the middle of a roll. And just work that from as many angles as you possibly can, as many times over as you possibly can, iterate on it, change the drills up, get to the point where you're ready to start using those in matches, because that's kind of the unique thing that makes this weapon powerful. This weapon's kit is not great. The Autobomb is fine. The Reef Slider is one of the worst specials in the game because you're very often just going to be vulnerable at the end of it. But the main weapon and its ability to dodge roll the way that it does, its ability to aim through the dodge rolls, that's why people are picking it at top level. And so that's what you want to be trying to hone in on if you are intending to be a Tetris main. All right, so from here, this is a little bit dangerous because there's a crab tank on top mid. Now, if you're able to maybe like zoom over to the right side of the block that it's standing on, and you're able to not die doing so, you might be able to get behind it or at least force it to move. Because the crab tank, for being as powerful as it is and being as dominant in the meta as it is right now, it does have a very slow turning radius. It turns slower than the player using it is able to aim. So if you're able to stay ahead of that rotation and get down the ledge below cover while it's doing this, okay, you're able to do that by just swimming. I think if they're a little bit faster, they might be able to stop you if you don't dodge roll, but you're able to get away with this, and this is exactly where you want to be, because now you're forcing it to take really awkward evasive maneuvers, and a teammate is able to take it out. So really well played. That is exactly the way you wanted to counterplay that. From here, this player that you're looking at in front of you is... Oh, cool. It's showing my mouse now. I wish it would show that all the time when I'm doing these, but... this player here is looking away from you. That tells me they don't know I'm here. Hey, thanks for the raid, Merlin Wizard 25. And welcome, Merlin Wizard folk. You are not late. You have arrived exactly when you are needed. Oh, it's a double raid. We've got Banelins coming in as well. Welcome, raiders from both of those channels. Awesome to have you guys here. I am Jem. I run Squid School. You may have seen that channel on YouTube. There's also Discord server, TikTok, Twitter, all sorts of stuff. But I am Jem, and right now we're doing a VOD review for Willow IM and their Tetradualies. So going back to it, this player right here is a player that is either showing that they don't see you or they're not worried by you or something. They should be worried. Since they're not looking at you, since they're not contesting you right this second, and since you have all of the paint that you need to just swim towards them without firing any shots, I would say don't fire any shots until you know for a fact that you are in range to hit them. That way you won't give away that you're about to attack them until you've got your aim set, until you know, all right, I'm definitely going to be hitting them as soon as I pull the trigger here. And to make sure that like we get there fast enough, it might be a good idea to just double roll forward here. Because I think 2 rolls is all you're going to need to get in range of them. Rolls are going to make you fall through the air faster. So it's a great way to get off of this ledge. And like I said, you know, airtime is slow. So decreasing airtime by rolling is often a good idea. Now, in the situation you were in before, you didn't want to roll off the ledge because at some point you're going to hit the cooldown at the end of the rolls. But for this engagement here, You roll forward twice, you're in range of them, and you want to be rolling anyway, because then you're going to be able to shoot them right away. So that's the way that I would have approached this, and that would have gotten me to them faster and potentially allowed me to be hitting them before they get the Suzuka fired. Doesn't really matter because they stand in the middle of a Booyah Bomb, so it's a moot point. And I think that a lot of these fights that you're taking here, they're fights that once you start getting rolling down better, they're actually winnable, they're actually tradable, they're actually fights that will like take players out of the match. But because we're approaching them by walking in with dual reticle mode, we're just doing damage too slowly, and we're getting out DPS'd. So, not a bad idea to roll there, even though you probably meant to end up on the same level as them and being able to still shoot them with that roll, but either way, it gets you out of trouble, and that's kind of the right way to be thinking about the roll. Like, as soon as they're starting to hit shots, you roll again, like, right before their first shot is going to hit you. And that way, they're not hitting you, but you're already hitting them because you're hitting them in the middle of the dodge roll. All right. I like that you're respecting the crab tank. No need to just go down by trying to challenge it at a range that you can't fight from. I like that you're dodge rolling out of that. That dodge roll you did the first one was really good. It made them miss shots. From there, the roll that we do is forward. And so this doesn't actually take us off their line. So when I say their line, I'm talking about, like, if they, hold down ZR, what angle are their shots going to be aimed at? So right now, you were here, you were on their line, and rolling to the left puts you off their line, which is great, and that's exactly what you want to do every time that you roll. The second roll, though, they get their aim on again, they're aiming at you here now, and you roll parallel to that instead of perpendicular to it. And because you roll parallel to it, you're just getting shot the whole way. So what you wanted to do there is move to the right again, to move perpendicular to it, sideways, so that it would throw their aim off. And in the meantime, like I said, the better you get at it, the more shots you'll be able to land, the faster, because you're firing 2 shots as you roll, and then once you're done with the roll, you'll have your aim on.
Okay, I think my thought process at that point was, it looks like they were outranging me, so I rolled forward to close that gap, although they might not actually have been outranging me. Maybe they were because of the height difference.
They're not outranging you, you're actually just missing.
Okay.
Like, the reticle's over here and the player's over here. That's all that's happening there. You're definitely close enough to be hitting those shots at that point. And if you do need to close distance anymore, you also have the opportunity to roll forward and to the right.
So like diagonally.
Right, to both throw their line off, but also get yourself closer. However, in that particular situation, you were fighting against the Splat Dualies, and you outranged this weapon.
Okay.
The Glugas, like I said, are the only ones that you don't outrange, which, admittedly, you're fighting Dualies, so it might be tricky to see, but the more experience you get with the game, like, you won't need to see, the color of the Dualies or anything like that to know that you're fighting one. You'll just know from the fire rate, because the vanilla Dualies are going to have a faster fire rate than the Glugas will.
That makes sense.
This is a great situation, actually, to dodge roll backwards. This is a weapon that you outrange, and so if you dodge roll backwards, you can get to a point where you're out of their range and hitting them, and they have to, like, keep moving towards you to keep hitting you. Plus, they're coming up at an angle a little bit, so dodge rolling backwards still puts you off their line more. That's just unfortunate. So, like, dropping down here is a little risky, but you do have some orange paint there. But then you recognize there's a player here. Rainmaker shot goes right on top of you. The only way that you're getting out of that is if you're, like, reacting quickly to the Rainmaker shot coming out and, like, dodge rolling left. Because otherwise you just kind of get whomped on there. So, don't really blame you too much for that one. You're trying to hold forward, you're trying to be aggressive, and that's kind of what we want. Just, that's what your quick respawn is for.
Yeah, except I think it doesn't proc there because I had...
Right, because you splatted someone earlier. Yeah. Well. So, same situation here. Player has picked up the Rainmaker carrier, and so... One thing about getting in front of the Rainmaker carrier that makes it a little easier is that once someone has the Rainmaker carrier, if you're on the enemy team, who are you going to attack first, right? Are you going to attack the guy behind the Rainmaker carrier, or are you going to attack the Rainmaker itself? Probably the Rainmaker. That's who you're going to go for. So if you're chasing along behind the Rainmaker, you can probably anticipate that nobody's actually going to be after you until you get up there. And so you kind of just want to, like, beeline your way in front of it to get up in between them and the first player who's going to defend so that you can protect it for the reasons we were talking about earlier. Thank you so much, by the way, for the donation, Fubs. Hello, Mr. Gem. Would you say your how to get out of ranked videos still applies to Splatoon 3? Trying to help a friend. Thanks and happy holidays. Absolutely. There is very, very little, I think, in those videos that is in any way obsolete. That, like, the only reason I would remake them right now would be to update the visuals, and that's not enough of a reason for me to consider it. I think every single one of them absolutely stands up. There may be a few things I say here and there that might not be to my understanding of the game anymore, that, like, maybe I've learned a little bit differently since then. And the gameplay is definitely worse than I currently am. I'm going to look back at that and cringe at all of my shots missing and all of my bad movement. But the lessons, I think, I absolutely recommend that people watch those videos if they want an answer to the question, like, how do I improve from the level I'm at?
Does the specific level you're at map well? Like, if I'm in rank points in S rank right now, should I watch the how to get out of S rank video? Is that advice more likely to apply to me than the A rank advice?
So that is a good question. The current rank system, as it is in series, is not great, and so there is going to be a lot of overlap. However, there was already a lot of overlap. There are things in the C rank video that I still have to remind myself of sometimes. And then there are things in the S Plus video that C rank players can benefit from hearing. They really all overlap, but the way that those were made was that I played through the game at those different levels and put up what I thought were the top priorities for those players. I put up, like, here are the things that I'm seeing those players make mistakes on the most. So here is what I would recommend you looking at. I think it'll still correlate somewhat well, but generally, like, the learning curve is the same. It's just what the exact milestones are along that learning curve might be shifted a little bit. So if you're a beginner, definitely just start with the C rank video and work your way up. If you're, as mechanically skilled as I am, maybe, there's still some good reminders about mindset and things like that in the earlier videos, but a lot of that you might be past at this point, and it might be better to just skip straight to the S Plus or the top 500 video. I say for most people, just, like, watch all of them through, because there's probably still something that you may not have recognized or may not have put a name to that I'll be able to talk about there. And also because it gives me more watch time. No, but like, I actually think that, like, all of that advice is relevant at pretty much every level. All right. So we're heading to the right here, which it's not a bad play all the time. Like I was saying before, like, you want to get in front of the Rainmaker carrier. And in this situation, I would say that you want to be doing that because nobody else is. But if you had two members in front of the Rainmaker carrier and they were already over the box, then I would definitely go to the right here, because then I can create a flank, and instead of the enemy team being able to bottle us up in that funnel, in that choke point, I'm able to come through from behind and kind of break their way through it. So this isn't a bad plan all the time, but you want to prioritize keeping the Rainmaker safe first. And then if you know that they're safe, then you go for the flank. Then you go for the off angle that helps your team break through.
How do I keep aware of where my teammates are? Like, how do I know that there are people in front of the Rainmaker?
So right now, at this moment, like before the Rainmaker goes up, Rainmaker is one teammate, obviously. You've got a crab tank here, and then someone's jumping to you. So
Okay.
right here, you're, just from this one screenshot, your entire team is accounted for. One really easy way to track them is by looking for their name tags. So you may not see, this right here is just a blur of pixels, but it's a blur of pixels that's name is Timmy. And Timmy is going to show up over the top of all of that all the time. And if they get splatted, it's just going to be Timmy with the name crossed out. So that's the main way that I'm looking for them. And so knowing that, we just saw all three members on screen, and that the furthest one forward was the Rainmaker, that's how I'm kind of tracking and spotting that.
Okay.
Oof, and they all go down one by one. That's unfortunate. So right now we're worried about a stagger. Have you, since you were asking questions about it, I'm guessing you probably haven't seen my content on the feed stagger loop.
I have. I am aware. I am aware actually of the feed stagger loop. Yeah.
Cool.
And I think I don't go way far forward. For that reason, trying to avoid that. Although I'm not exactly sure how much to stay back and paint to avoid that. Like, do I wait until everyone has fully respawned?
Usually, yes. If you see an advantageous fight and know that the enemy team will not be able to trade it back, you can jump the gun and go for it. But most of the time, you're waiting to go and dive and do your crazy things until you have at least some expectation that there's going to be any follow-up from the rest of your team. From here, I would at least throw a bomb. Bombs are highly efficient methods of dealing damage to the Rainmaker shield, much more so than your main weapon will be. Out of all of the weapons in the game here, besides maybe the Clash Blaster, and even the Clash Blaster might beat you with repeated directs, your weapon is the one that does the absolute least to the Rainmaker shield. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe the machine is less. But your main weapon isn't doing an awful lot, but the bomb definitely will. So I would throw a bomb and then maybe swim a little, and then if you find an opportunity to get a pick, go for it. If not, maybe then you dodge roll and start doing damage that way. But whenever you're doing damage to the Rainmaker shield, definitely be dodge rolling. Because they're, it's one thing if you're trying to aim at a small moving target like an enemy player. It's another thing if it's like a really big ball in front of us that isn't going to move. So they're just like always go for the dodge roll for the extra fire rate, and so that you're not like hitting the wall like we were there and losing time. Because this is less efficient than any other way that we could be painting the shield. There, we're too far forward, first of all. We can actually be painting the shield from further back, and that'll give us a little bit of extra space that we can use to back up if need be. And then once we start seeing the shield, it's like you can see it's going in their direction. The blue explosion is imminent at this point. This teammate isn't even shooting it anymore. They've given up. From this kind of a situation, you want to just be dodge rolling backwards and getting out of there.
Yeah, that's a dodge roll instead of just walk situation.
Both in terms of getting in range to hit it, and also in terms of getting out of there once it starts to get dangerous. All right, so we spot this player who's in our way at first, and then they run off to the right here. Now, if this is a brush, and we don't really know immediately what it is, it ends up being the Clash Blaster, but we can't really tell from here. If this is a brush, and we chase it around the corner the way we do, what a lot of brushes love to do is sit right on the other side of this corner, and as soon as you get there, they're like, thank you for moving in range for me. You are now splatted. Because they have really fast DPS, but they also have the range of like a toothpick. They're just not going to reach very far. So they love it when they can convince you to chase them, and in doing so, give them the opportunity to get closer to you without you seeing it happen. So I was worried as you came around here that the brush was going to be waiting for you. A couple of ways that we can deal with that. One way is we start from about here at, the max roll distance, dodge roll around the corner so that we're already aiming at this corner and got, our full DPS shots ready to go in case they happen to be making a play like that. Another thing I would do in addition to that is to take the corner really wide. Do you know what I mean when I say take the corner wide?
Don't be like right up next to the corner. Be like a bit of a distance away from the corner.
Correct. If you take the corner wider, you're more likely to let them get away, but that's fine because your job is not to splat them per se. Your job is to get them out of the way of the Rainmaker. So as long as they're out of the way of the Rainmaker, that's at least a win. So if you're just scaring them away, that's totally fine. You don't need to really engage this. The Rainmaker can continue to move forward. But if you take the corner wide, you can stay out of this brush's range, force them to like move forward to be able to hit shots on you, and you can still do that thing where you dodge roll around as soon as you're at the right angle to be able to hit it. And that gives you a much better chance of winning this fight than swimming around here and then being right on top of them like this. But you do end up getting it because it's Clash Blaster, and Clash Blaster's DPS is terrible. At this point, we've gotten a little bit too far in front of the Rainmaker, and this map check actually is really good for showing us that. So remember that your goal as the frontline weapon is to give the Rainmaker space that it can move forward into, to push the enemy team back to bodyguard so that the Rainmaker isn't going to run into resistance, it's just going to swim into its own color ink and be able to keep moving as fast as possible. Now, the Rainmaker is currently obstructed by all of this blue ink in mid, which tells me that there's probably someone up in this area that we haven't dealt with on the side here, and that we need to stop all of this before it stops the Rainmaker. So we want to be kind of doubling back and figuring out how to get in and stop these players, and I think after we get this player, we want to be double checking and seeing where the Rainmaker is first before we go any further. Because getting this player is valuable. They are in a position where they could challenge the Rainmaker from. But then from here, when you start swimming forward and you see the icon indicating that they're still like way behind you, that they're not swimming into mid or anything like that, that's something that tells me, oh, there might be something else they're worried about. Or else they're just playing scared. I don't know. But either way, it's only going to give the enemy team room to flank us and get around us to reach the Rainmaker if we push this far ahead of it. You can think about, like, draw a circle around your character, and that's the area that you can keep enemy players away from. Well, if your circle doesn't overlap with the path that the Rainmaker is trying to move on right now, then they can just circumnavigate you and you're not having an impact on the Rainmaker push.
Okay, I don't think I was thinking about that in the game, but looking at that previous map check, my thought there, I guess, trying to figure out how to phrase this, I don't know that blue ink means blue players. It might mean just it's time for our nozzle nose, I guess, to get painting, especially perhaps because two of their team is down.
So, a couple of things about that. First of all, um, it's even if they paint this, the enemy team could still put multiple members over on the left-hand side, and wouldn't be a factor in defending the Rainmaker there. So, even though maybe they could be moving a little bit quicker through this, um, you are still out of play by being over on this side. The second thing is, you can't assume that blue means that there aren't enemy players here, and especially since we've got this many teammates in this area and it's still blue, that means to me that they'd have to be moving really extra slow for this not to be somewhat painted here. Usually that does mean that they're actually getting stopped by something, and we do see that that's the case. But like by the time you've taken an entire fight and swam all the way through alley, if they don't have that painted up, then they're either jumping at shadows or there is actually somebody there. So that's an intuition that'll kind of come with time. Good job getting that pick. You find someone who's attacking the Rainmaker and take them down. Unfortunately, nobody else is able to do that job. Beautiful roll there. You get to the point where they're starting to hit shots, and then you roll immediately, and that throws their shots off, and that's enough for you to get the splat. So you had an outsized impact on that. Unfortunately, this teammate should die to that jump, and we're still at a disadvantage. And now we really need to get the Rainmaker pop. We have 7 seconds left. Okay, they popped it for us, which isn't a great idea for them, actually, because that actually makes it easier for us to grab it in time. But if one of us is not holding the Rainmaker in the next 7 seconds, the game will just end and we'll lose. But if we're able to pick it up and keep that player alive, then we get overtime. And so overtime is completely necessary for us to win the game. There is no chance that we are able to push to lead before time runs out. So our goal right now is get enough space around the Rainmaker, or at least get close enough to the Rainmaker at all, to be able to pick it up and trigger that overtime, and then just hope that we can bodyguard for the Rainmaker hard enough to keep it. It's a losing position, especially if they start running it backwards right now, but yeah. At that point, that's just hold forward, W key, throw everything at it, because even though it's not an advantageous fight to try and get yourself in there in those last 7 seconds through a bunch of enemy ink, it is the only way that the game continues at all. So while it might be a 99% chance you're going to lose, it's a 100% chance if you never go for it. So at that point, you're just kind of speed running towards the Rainmaker to try and pick it up and get that player.
Yeah, I feel like as I'm not even fully respawned when the 7 number hits the screen, like, I feel like there's not anything I can really do there.
Yeah, and it's definitely a losing position by that time just because of us having run out of time. But that's kind of how it goes there. I would like, if it's okay with you, I'd like to actually play a match on stream on Tetris and kind of talk you through sort of the general way I'm playing it. Because I think seeing the playstyle in action will give you a lot more ideas. And kind of give you an idea of like how to use dodge rolls and things like that. And that is a weapon that I'm more competent on than most. It's not my main or anything, but it's something that I've used a lot.
Yeah, that sounds good. Let me get myself a glass of water. I'll be back in like a minute.
All right, sounds good. Let's see, that was Rainmaker. Do we have a Rainmaker? We do not have a Rainmaker. Which maps do I dislike the least? Probably the X-rank ones. I'm not a huge fan of the power that it's at the moment, and would rather probably be playing that with my main weapons. But you know what? I'm not especially interested I'm playing Clam Blitz Scorch Gorge. Well, I could probably make that work. Definitely not mincemeat zones. No, thank you. Yeah, you know what? The more I'm looking at it, the more I'm like, let's just run this. So, we'll get it started there, and I figure, amount of time it takes to get some water, it'll take that long before we get a match. Right?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Yes, dude. Perfect. Okay. So what I'm doing here in the training room is I'm going side to side and working on keeping my aim on in the middle of my rolls.
Yeah.
And so this is just something that you can be practicing before, every match you play.
Yeah.
Because the game gives you that
the
option.
drill. Yeah. Yeah. The drill I tend to do is stand in the middle of the 4, close my eyes, spin, move, spin, and then see how fast I can get all 4.
Yeah, and be dodge rolling to get those shots on all 4.
Yep.
All right. So we've got not a lot of people are going to be following up on these fights, but we're going to go for them anyway. They spotted me out on the way forward, but that kept 2 players busy on the right, or on the left, so we should still be okay. The wave breaker was enough to get me there? Darn. But I'm up fairly quickly, and we're back in. No catastrophes yet. See if we can get something done, though. That'd be nice. Oh my god. Every time I'm going in, I'm just having stuff thrown at me. Let's see if we can sneak in.
I think you're not wearing QR.
I am wearing QR. I'm wearing 2 mains of it.
Ah.
You can see down there in the lower left.
Lower left.
Lower left of the map.
I can't see that because I think your face is blocking it.
Oh, that would do it. Okay. One there, and then they're ready with the shot over there. It's kind of tough because I'm the only player who's really equipped as much to go in. It's a relatively passive comp, so I might have to play a little bit more careful now. I'm also just getting a lot of torpedoes and stuff thrown at me, and I'm being seen on my way in. Am I alive? No, I'm not. It's because I accidentally clipped the right stick on my way over. Man, this has been a rough game. Push up a little bit. Hey, stop that. Got them. I think the player who is fighting them dropped down to the right. Yep. So we're going to threaten this side. Use the bomb to force him back. I'm going to try and get in there and, like, jam myself in. I'm going to back up now, though, because we're getting attacked by the Nautilus, and they out-DPS me. That was a lot. I probably should have reef-slidered into that instead of trying to use my shots, knowing that there was going to be at least a little bit of damage coming already.
Is the DPS of each weapon something I should study?
It's something that you definitely would do well to know. You'll probably learn it, by just playing the game and getting experience, but it's really important for deciding whether to take a fight or not. So I want to try that again because that felt awful and I did nothing. I probably would... I'm actually going to cancel out and not stick with the team just because I don't think having a Stamper plus a Stringer is super conducive to playing as aggressive as I want to. But if you are to play with a team like that, realize that that's like a chip damage comp. So they're going to try and damage people a little bit and have the other player follow up on it. And that's the way that those two are going to play around each other, the Stamper plus the Stringer. Jem's face is made out of pure QR. Exactly. Exactly. Alright. Man, and they've got most of a meta team comp now. That's gonna be a crab rave. I'm gonna see if I can get in and take someone out before they get special. Nope, nope. We're spotted. Fortunately, team is watching. Oh, and this player got way out. If I can get on top of them, I win that. Yes, okay. Machines are a weapon that you out DPS by a lot.
In that corner right at the beginning, you were walking. Why weren't you painting?
Because I don't need paint to move, and it's more important there that I stay alive. And staying alive means they don't know where I am. That corner is also extremely unimportant to paint in terms of like the rest of my team being able to use it. Okay, so I'm able to push that, and then oh hi there, Crab Tank. Please go away. Ow. If I could get my angle right, on the dodge rolls, I probably would have been able to get behind cover there in time, but I also did help shred the Crab Tank, which helped in a way, so it's not the worst outcome. So there's several on the right over here. I'm going to throw this, and that's going to reveal the position of the player that I'm looking for. Autobombs are really helpful, especially around top mid on this map. If I had had just a second more, I probably could have gotten a Reef Slider off in time. But, Autobombs are really helpful on this map because you can toss the Autobomb up on top, and if somebody's climbing the wall, it will spot them and show you what direction they're coming up from. Debbie does that all the time on high jump. So we've got a grab active on that side. I think there was someone in here, wasn't there? No, maybe not. I must have been seeing things. Shoot. Oh. Maybe I was seeing the junior's shots. Oh, did the junior go get them? Darn. I didn't think they'd be able to push that effectively. So I'm backing up here because I'm just going to die if I push in. It's, you know, a 1v4 kind of situation. Oh my god. I did not get all the way up. Well, at least I'm alive. Man, did we die? We must have died. That's the only reason we would be that far back.
Did you pop a Reef Slider for, like, no movement for that
I was trying
tank?
to get onto top mid with that, and I got stuck on the grate.
Okay.
The idea there is to move it through the Crab Tank armor and one-shot the Crab player.
Got it.
Please go away. Thank you. There's nobody in here, right? Okay. Oh my god. I'm playing great. I'm playing great. We're gaming. Let's jump on top of this group here. My defense against that was to drop back over the ledge, and I did that too slowly. Because once I'm behind that ledge, it's not super easy for them to track where I'm going, and I probably can stop them. got one. Can we stop this? No, we can't, and we missed the shots. Alright. Well. Not some of my finest work, but I think at least a couple of those engagements can kind of give you the sense of how it works.
Yeah.
What time we got?
Basically, dodge roll a lot.
Yeah, that is kind of the idea. You know what? If just for my own sake, I want to do one more. Because I like this weapon, and I'm not satisfied with just those games there. I think the team did okay. Now 4 and 11 is not quite what I was hoping for, but
Yay, more content for the stream chat.
exactly. Wait, do I? 1 second. Just want to double check and make sure that I don't have something planned for this. Okay. This will need to be the last game, but I can afford one more game. Hey. should be able to hear me.
Can you hear the VC though?
No. So this little guy,
Oh,
this
now we can.
little,
Okay.
this little goober, who does not like being held like this, stepped on the power button of the computer and turned it off.
Can you
So
actually
this is
Jerry-
why I shoo him off of the top of the computer.
I don't think Jerry can hear us.
I can hear you. What are you
Oh,
saying?
Can you? Hi. I was like, well, you're not acknowledging anything. Did your settings get fixed in the VC?
I
too?
did
So-
acknowledge. I said I was
Oh,
like,
I didn't hear.
so I wasn't able to hear you until the soundboard turned back on, but
Okay.
I did acknowledge you once I got back.
I
Okay. Yeah, we
did not
were
recognize the
saying.
acknowledgement.
Yeah.
But you saw the match, right?
Yes.
The match was
Okay.
there with sound, but everything you were saying during the match, we heard in VC, but no one heard on stream.
Cool. Very cool. Well,
And we knew it was different because your mic was different too. So
sometimes,
ah.
you know, sometimes you love a cat and sometimes you want to punt the cat. This was a moment for, you know, a short amount of time where I definitely wanted to punt the cat instead. That being said, he is fine. He is here. He is loved maybe a little bit more than he likes to be. And that is going to be the end of the stream. So, sorry
All
for the
right.
shenanigans at the end. And we'll be sending you guys off on a wild, wonderful raid towards the direction of somebody. We'll once, you know, everything boots back up, we'll be able to see who's live. All right, let's go raid Barry. Barry's got a nice big stream going right now. Let's make it a nicer, bigger stream. Barry, for those of you who don't know, is a really well-known backliner in the community. Plays for a team called Element R, and has been streaming and been partnered on Twitch for a really long, time. Great guy, and have met him at tournaments and stuff like that. So, everybody, get ready to say hi to Barry. Say school's out. Raid is getting started. And everybody stay safe. I know, you know, we're all from different parts of the world, but northern United States is going to have a massive snowstorm soon. Make sure you keep track of the weather and stay safe out there if you're going to be traveling during Christmas or the holidays or whatever you're celebrating. So, y'all have a good night, everybody. Say hi to Barry for me.